Wake up. It's time for Primal Scream.
Welcome back to Primal Scream. I'm Matt.
And I am Todd.
And today we are going to be talking about all these beautiful things. It's just do the
You make it sound so fruity.
Center
It's
yourself.
not.
You said fruity, dude. I'm getting in touch with my inner child.
Wonderful things. Your voice went up like 3 octaves. I'm not sure what's happening.
But we're going to be talking about isolation, floating, float tanks.
Yeah.
And right here, Honest Living by Jackie Fetter. Right? Mm-hmm. Honest Living. Honest Floating. Because I floated today.
You cracked the door the whole time. Are you sure you're going to consider it?
I floated.
Okay.
I didn't float like a superstar.
I was going to say. I'm not sure you did the whole thing.
I wasn't superstar floating. I was, I'll get into this in a second. Can I talk about our sponsors real quick? Okay.
You do whatever you need to do, buddy.
By the way, we are the Primal Scream Podcast, and you can check us out on TPSP Productions website right there. You can just scroll down the page, and then when you see that handsome face right there, the Primal Scream, just click on any of that stuff, okay? And let's talk about why did we get hooked up with the flotation tank? How did we hear about it, Todd?
Lori Moritz from Sweet Raw Joy.
From Sweet Raw Joy. That's right. Desserts to live for. Go to sweetrawjoy.com and order some beautiful Sweet Raw Joy.
And I believe the last time I talked with her, she got her contract with New Pioneer Co-op in Cedar Rapids. Is now going to be using their kitchen to exclusively make her stuff for New Pioneer Co-op.
Oh.
Wow. You know what I like about Sweet Raw Joy is that it's uncooked, all organic, living desserts.
What's not to like?
That are good for you. So if you have that sweet tooth, you need to have that little something in the middle of the night. You probably shouldn't do it. You probably should float. But if you don't have a flotation tank, have some Sweet Raw Joy. Satiate that sweet tooth, right?
You just love using that word.
I love satiate.
He loves the word satiate.
That's
so
what Sweet
weird.
Raw Joy does for me.
It satiates you on so many levels.
Me.
Yeah.
You know what will satiate me? I don't know if it'll satiate me because I'm not really into, I don't know, clothing. Clothing doesn't really do it for me so much. I mean, I like clothing.
Okay.
And I like clothing that feels good. And I like clothing that looks good. And I suppose if you have the right kind of clothing, it would make you have a smile on your face. So if you want some clothing like that, go to Sauce Hockey.
I say, don't annoy our sponsors. So he said, yeah, I heard your last podcast. I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Let's pull that.
Yeah. Please send our hats and our T-shirts back.
Go to saucehockey.com. Let's say you are an aficionado of hockey and you're wondering, where can I get some really awesome hockey gear? T-shirts, hats, whatnot, with cool little hockey sayings, things that only hockey aficionados would love and would understand.
And the T-shirts are really great.
And everything's soft and comfortable. And you know, if you get a T-shirt and you print something cool on it, but it just sucks to wear, like it's scratchy and
crappy
uncomfortable
kind of stuff. Yeah,
you're not going to wear it.
Nope.
You're never going to wear it. So go to saucehockey.com and check out your hockey gear today. Also, USA Entertainment Agencies.
Jeff Johnson.
Thanks, Jeff, by the way, for inviting us to check out Impractical Jokers with you the other night.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That was a fun time. So if you want to book yourself an entertainer of whatever kind for weddings, festivals, corporate, college, media, whatever, go to usaentertainmentagency.com and get with Jeff and, you know, schedule it. Make it happen. He's a wonderful fella. So let's kick into why we're here today.
I say, I smell like Jackie's shampoo. And I thought, well, that doesn't sound appropriate. And if I say, well, wait, Rob was there, then it sounds really bad.
All right. So when you got there, was Rob home?
No, I wasn't.
But when you got out, Rob was home.
When I got out of the bathtub, Rob was.
You know what I was thinking when I was laying in that empty abyss? I was thinking, how weird. At one point in the 30 different dreams that I had.
I didn't dream at all, but
you didn't dream at all.
You guys are completely different.
Polar opposite. experiences.
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily opposite, but each on a different map. Yeah.
All right. I like that because we are kind of, well, we're pretty largely opposite personality wise.
Yeah,
how we
sure.
feel about things. I'm right. You're wrong. It's a lot of things like that.
I let you say shit like that. It doesn't bother me. Yeah, perfect.
You're a sweet, sweet fella. I'm kind of a jerk. That's all right. But yeah, I thought this is kind of weird. It's almost like she's up. If I was her and I was upstairs doing my work, and all of a sudden I would think, there's somebody laying in a coffin in my basement, just chilling, just sleeping. Was that something that you had to get over? Was that ever anything that you thought, it's cool that I have this, but this is what's happening right now?
Well, I think the best part was when you found out that you were completely nude when you do this. You were like,
the look on my face.
No, what he said was, I'm going to tape myself getting in and getting out.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is very interesting. I didn't know you did a nude podcast of yourself.
Or a very small blur.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it took you 2 seconds to get it.
Yeah. That's not very nice.
Anyways.
But that was the, that's something that I think about sometimes is I am exactly kind of like the stick figure image. I'm at my laptop upstairs. Someone is in a box in my basement. And yeah, it's interesting.
And when you say it like that, it's not creepy at all.
It's reassuring that it's definitely not something that everyone will do. So
yeah, you know what? You're probably right. But when I say this and people are listening, just going, "Oh, why would I go there?" It was when I walked into your home. Mm-hmm. Very neat. I could just immediately. I had the feeling of relaxation. Mm-hmm. I was very at ease when I walked in. I didn't walk in and think, "Oh my God, is there a pit? There's skin. Put the lotion in the basket." There wasn't any of that type of feeling.
There was a pit bull.
Right, there was a pit bull. And
but she's very kind.
She's so sweet. And when she says, I love you or play with me, it sounds a little bit like I'm going to rip you from limb to limb. It sounds a lot very similar but she was very sweet. But then we went downstairs and I thought, this is really cool. You have an area set up for people to come in as a group and just kind of hang out. If there's 1 or 2 people, one person's chilling in the recliner or something in a very relaxed atmosphere. And somebody can be floating.
Right. It's usually couples, 2 girlfriends coming in together, something where not everyone will walk into someone's home solo. Rob and I, our first float we went together and it was in someone's home in Illinois. So kind of having someone there it's just an additional safety, I guess, on your first time. But I have plenty of people come in on their own and they will say the same thing you did. They came in and they were relaxed and easily getting into the tank, but the tank is unique. So, some people work up to it. He is the first to keep the door open.
I am?
Yeah.
You know what? Listen,
what a bitch.
I watched a lot of YouTube videos the other day, and I'm like, I want to be completely prepared for this.
He does that for every podcast, by the way. Do you have everything ready to go? Do you know what you're doing? And I'm like, dude, just relax. We're just going to hang out and talk.
So I want to know what I was in for.
Of course.
And we talked about the one video where the guy was like a very, he was kind of the stereotypical stoner, super skinny. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I'm totally going to float for 5 hours.
I think he did 8, actually.
Oh, he might have done 8.
I did see that one. He did 8.
And I'm sure they had to replace the salt. I'm sure they had to redo something with the water.
It starts grinding
Well,
down.
I think he was at a studio that had, it was a big to-do that they were doing, so they kind of shut down shop for him to go in, and he was like getting out to use the restroom.
Is he a special person of some sort?
He was on Vice. It's a Vice.
Yeah, he was.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he did a pretty good job, and he showed a few different types of tanks.
Yes.
And then one person said, if you're in one tank, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. It's all very similar. And then another guy said, no, absolutely not. Every tank is completely different because each person who runs that tank sets it up slightly different. Maybe the water is too cold. Maybe the water is too hot. Maybe the water was perfect, but the air temperature was too hot or too cold or what have you.
Well, and I've only seen, when I looked up float tanks, I saw the isopod, like the $18,000 one that has like the hydraulic lift on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like a piece of like a spaceship or
I
something.
guarantee you when the timer goes off on that, you will wake up.
Oh, yeah.
The lid is open. You're awake now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steam rolls out. Perfect.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
All right. I wanted to ask you, we talked about this before. Let's just pretend we never talked earlier. Okay.
Or don't bring it up at all. And just ask her.
No. I was just going to say, how did you get into this again? Can
Great
you tell
question. That's what I
people,
was
how
waiting
did
for.
you get into this?
Well, I enjoy doing things for myself to see how I feel about them. Well, I read a book. It was a fiction book, and in it, the girl was kidnapped and then forced to be in one of these. And I thought, that sounds extreme. Let's do that. And
I want to have the image in my head of somebody locking me in a float tank, and then I want to get in it.
Can you please put the towel on the door? Put the towel on the door.
That's the idea I want to have when I climb into this box that shuts off all light.
Yes. So I usually don't tell anyone.
You are extreme.
That ever. So, but what was appealing to me is the fact that in it she said, it was a weightless feeling. It was quiet. The water was calm. You know, what she ended up doing is using it as a time to strengthen what she was learning about the place she was being held at. She used it like as a focus center versus a negative. It was kind of interesting. So I thought that sounds relaxing. So, and then I think it just more podcasts, just social media in general is if you want to learn about something, you can generally find out in 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
So I hopped on. The closest one was about 4.5 hours away.
Wow.
And I think it was either Rob's birthday or Christmas, one of those two. And I thought, okay, we're just going to go do it. And we went. It took an entire day. So that was the interesting part. We had to drive there. One tank, so I floated, then he floated, adding the pre and post shower for both of us, getting food after and getting home. It was
an adventure.
A long day. And I knew that we needed to have one here, and that's not everyone is willing to try it for that. And I know how calming it was for me. So that was pretty much, I kind of knew.
We had talked a little bit about you had a 10-day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Explain what. Did you tell him about this?
No. So also in November, I went to Illinois and I did a 10-day silent meditation. So
Cool.
Not 5 days, not 7, 10 days.
Yeah, dude, you have
no talking, right?
Yeah, you have no expression on your face.
You hand over you try not to. You hand over all your things and you take a noble vow of silence and no eye contact. There's nothing on the walls, no reading, no writing, and obviously no speaking to people.
I could not imagine not smiling at people I walk by. That sounds so fun.
Did you have to wear a hood?
I mean, you just keep your eyes down because if you open the door to restroom, oh, excuse me, or pardon me, so you just kind of keep your eyes down.
So you could say that.
No,
she's saying you don't. So you want to keep your eyes down so you don't have those things happen.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That didn't shock you when she told me that. I was like, 10 days.
Yeah.
Do you know the
talking.
But do you know the kind of thinking that goes on when that happens?
It's unbelievable.
It's amazing. I've never done it, and I've heard just incredible things about. You can go on like month-long retreats to places and do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty unreal. What was amazing is the fact that there's no religion, there's no rituals or things that you do, there's no prayers that you're saying, or different things. It's just simply focusing on your body pretty much. And that's what we talked about. The fact that when someone honks their horn at you or someone does something that upsets you, your body reacts before your mind does. And so if you can get to the place where you're learning the cues from your body so that you avoid going to the reaction part of your, swearing, being upset, flipping someone the bird in the car.
Sure.
If you can get ahead of that, then you can not go to those places mentally. So,
and see, I trained myself as a young child. I had a very violent asshole of a stepfather, and he'd scream and yelled all the time.
Yeah.
And so even now my kids are like, jump out and scare me. I'm like, hey, what's up? It's like I don't react like I think other people would because I was so used to reacting as a child that it became a painful kind of thing. And so now I just don't react. And sometimes that's a bad thing though.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't care? What's wrong with you? How come you're not upset about this? No, I'm very upset about it.
Yeah.
I just choose not to,
Yeah.
Completely lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So explain to me, Todd, what was your experience in the tank?
All right. So it was great. I enjoyed the idea of I felt like I gave my body a rest. Like instead of carrying all this weight around and being connected to the floor or whatever, I got to just rest. And you were talking about hand positions. And so I have a large ass and legs, and so I felt like I was nailed to the floor with my keister. But so what I did is I put my arms over my head, and it balanced me out more, and then I floated better, and it was comfortable enough. And my shoulders tend to hunch like this, and I was in the water, and so when I put them over my head, it opened up my diaphragm, and I actually was able to breathe better too. So not that I was breathing bad, but it opened me up so I could breathe,
nice.
and I wasn't trying to be open. I could just float that way naturally. So that was really helpful too. I enjoyed that part. I did part of it. The only bad part was I had to itch my nose. I was telling her about this. I had to itch my nose, and I was like, "Oh, it's just your mind trying to fuck with you. Just let it go. It'll go away." It's And I'm trying because I listen to so many podcasts like you're talking about. Just let it go. And I was like, "I can't let it go. It's going to drive me crazy." So I reach up with my pinky, really careful, drip of water right in my eyeball, and so I was like, "Oh shit!" And so I itched my nose, and I opened my eye, and my eye goes like that. And I was like, "Fuck!" So I just closed my eye. Wait till my eye cleared it out, and then it was fine. But I opened my eyes. I tried to make a point of opening my eyes at certain times, closing my eyes at certain times. I saw stars a lot, and not like the stars when you breathe wrong, but like pinpoints of light. I saw that quite a bit too, which I thought was kind of neat.
I saw a purple face.
Really?
Yeah, I saw it started out
Was it
very
happy?
small. All I got was that it was like a face, but it could be like the back of your, when you stare at the sun or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You also had light coming in the room, right?
Dude, it was such a small amount of light. It's not like I left the door open. Okay.
He actually had his head hanging out. Of the
I do this anymore.
I had this crease mark on my neck where I was leaning on the. All right, now for everybody, what we probably should have done was explain what is an isolation tank. An isolation tank is a sensory deprivation tank.
And I've seen so many. I mean, Joe Rogan's talked about this for years in his podcast.
Right.
But then I remember Googling one years ago when I first started listening to him, and it was like it looked like a pop tent with like aluminum kind of outside, so everything was kind of hanging off that, like you would set up a tent, and then but there's obviously you can hear things right through it because it's not very thick.
That would be like the cheapest home edition tank you can get. And that is made with like tubing and something that holds the water. So that's something that it doesn't have temperature control.
Oh.
Because again,
it's like that right there.
Is that the?
Oh yeah.
It's similar, and that one's almost even more so.
Right. That has like an outer lining of something.
Yeah. If I think maybe my Pinterest page has a picture of the one I'm thinking of, but it looks very
rudimentary kind of.
Yeah, very basic. And so that one won't have a lot of the comforts of a
like you mean tank. Comforts like the water temperature and things like that.
Okay. Sound that has some soundproofing. The light is definitely not getting through.
That's kind of key. I mean, some of those things are kind of like the key things to make it work completely.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to be able to be floating and not touching anything. You have to be totally in a blacked out situation. You have to have those earplugs in. You don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear squishiness in my ears because water is going in and out. I mean, you really want to kill all 3 of those senses for at least a little while. That's kind of the idea behind it, right?
As soon as I shut that door, I've never experienced a level of darkness like that ever.
Yeah.
Even when I'm sleeping and I shut my eyes, I don't, like, as soon as I shut that door, it's like, boom, claustrophobia.
Really?
And I was like, take deep breaths. And so I laid back. So an isolation chamber is a chamber that has water in it about 10 inches deep, 9 to 10 inches deep, 8 to 10, whatever. The water is controlled temperature-wise to be just under what your body temperature is. So it's like 93, you said?
Right, 93.5 is preferred. Skin temperature.
She's on it, 93.5.
Yeah.
Then you have the air above the water is heated so that you feel like you are floating, like there is nothing around you. So you don't hear anything. You don't see anything because it's completely pitch dark unless you crack the door.
So you couldn't rationalize it that I'm just in a tank in the basement. So I know, I mean, trust me, it's dark and I can understand claustrophobia, but I was like,
when I laid back in it, I was like, okay, this is awesome. I'm floating. This is cool. Bump. I hit the left side of the tank. Okay. I just floated over and hit the left side. So I pushed myself away from that. I just barely. No. I just barely pushed myself away from the left side, and I felt like my whole body just spun in a big pinwheel,
spinning,
like 7 times. I felt like I just kept revolving around, and then I finally touched the right side of the tank. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the tank is only 3 or 4 feet wide.
That's why I have the graphic on the website showing it's wider than a full, but
it's right here, right?
Wider than a full, but not as wider than a twin, not as wide as a full. So, but then it is 132 inches long. So that's why a taller gentleman can still put his hands over his head. So, yeah, you were floating 48 inches.
Roughly in that little picture.
But you're right, though. I remember I touched the wall at one point, too, and I thought, oh, I'm floating away from the wall because I know I moved that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but I loved that. But that was when I started doing that more often.
That was cool.
On purpose so that I could feel like I was
forever floating.
Swirling around.
Okay, so that happened. So I felt like I was just pinwheeling. And so then I just kind of landed my ass on the floor to kind of, I'm done.
Gosh.
And then
the anchor.
Yeah, and then I just like, dude, you're so stupid. Because it's so dark, you forget. Like my mind easily, I just very easily was just transported to another dimension. Mm-hmm. As soon as the door shut, boom, I'm not in a basement. I'm not in a tank. I'm in a black world.
Right.
With just enough water to keep me afloat.
Well,
I can't rationalize that there's a wall. But I mean, eventually I just put my arms out. And I'm like, okay, I'm done spinning. Okay.
I did reach up in front of me on my, straight up, see if I could touch the ceiling, and I couldn't. I was like, oh, that's kind of trippy. Yeah, that was kind of cool. Like I was reaching up into the sky and I couldn't see where my hands were. I couldn't see my hands. So
you didn't dream or nothing for an hour?
No, I saw lots of images and lots of things in the back of my eyes, kind of like, if I was laying with my eyes closed kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Nothing crazy. I was expecting something because Joe Rogan talks about eating edible brownie and then getting in. And I was like, wonder what that shit's going to be like because I want to try that at some point. That'd be awesome.
When we talked afterwards, when Jackie and I talked afterwards, I thought, I described my trip. It was like a trip for me. So my trip was like, I got really anxious and crazy. And so I started getting nervous and I started, I would just breathe. I would consciously breathe nice and deep. And then I would slide. And then I would go down the slide and I would relax big time. And then, boom, I'd have a dream.
Oh, wow.
I could tell that I was dreaming. I could still tell. I could still feel the water. I knew I was floating. I couldn't relax. I didn't know what was a relaxed state because your body has never been like that before,
Yeah.
So you don't know if you're holding yourself rigid,
Right.
and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, my neck's kind of tight.
Well, I did one of those relaxation exercises where I tightened up my calves and then I released them. And I tightened up my quads, my thighs, so I could feel myself. I can relax those muscles on purpose. And so even when I was, because you talked about your neck and your back and stuff,
Right.
so then I was like, okay, scrunch up my neck. And then I just was like, okay. And then I was like trying to make sure that I was sitting like this. I was like, well, that seems awkward, but that's the way I'm floating. So it's not like I'm trying to sit like a dumbass. And so that's when I put my hands over my head. I was like, oh, this feels like totally normal.
I'll have to try that next time. I did the hands behind my head.
So you're going to go again.
Like the last 10 minutes. Yeah, I definitely want to go at least 4 times. At least. Because...
Is that the standard? Like they say you should do
well,
a certain amount? Or?
It's definitely something that you're not going to have the floating experience your first time. It's kind of like when the first time you go, we were talking about examples like yoga, trying to run a 5K. You're not going to step on, a 5K course and be able to do it. Well, some people can. I can't. But so, the first time it's just not people. If you're in yoga and someone's saying do downward dog, do crow, do this, you just won't know what that means yet and how it feels for you. So it takes a little while.
And I can see it. I want to do it because my mind was just racing the whole time. And I was trying to be blank. I was trying to focus on my breathing and count my breaths and kind of do a kind of a meditative kind of thing. I had a really difficult time. So I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk about this. I can't wait to talk about that. My brain's just going 1,000 miles an hour. Yeah. Oh. So that's why I was like, I started getting more anxious towards the end only because I was looking forward to doing the podcast. So I wasn't really like in the moment, so to speak. So I enjoyed it for what it was worth this time, but I know that my mind was kind of going a little too much. And which I think would be a
about
good thing.
that because I was thinking, I do suggest the first time people have an hour or two to just go home and relax. And
sounds nice.
And just knowing that we would be coming here and you need to be alert, there's equipment, there's technical things. So your brain is going to have to jump right back into everything. I kind of wondered about that. But
I'm gonna meet with a neuroscience scientist tomorrow.
Wow, perfect.
Are we doing this?
I'm in extreme need for my child to figure something out.
Okay, all right.
So I'm starting now that I've discovered this practice, I'm becoming like desperate in the fact that I want to find some answers.
Are you talking about what you researched, what you heard on the well, are you going to bring it out?
Sure. I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast and he had Dr. right here on the tip of my fingers. He had Dr. Andrew Hill from UCLA on.
Wow.
Talking about how neurofeedback is they call it a 20-hour cure for ADHD.
20 visit or
20 hour.
20,
you do
20 session.
Hours. Cure. An hour is a normal session. So it's a 20-hour cure by just changing people's brainwaves to function differently.
Right.
And how like there will be kids that, why is this? They're always arguing with you, like always. And it's because their frontal cortex is not engaged and it wants to be engaged. Right. And so what it does is it'll punch somebody, push somebody, start an argument, whatever it needs. Even if it's like, hey, do me a favor and will you go put your bowl on the sink? What? I was just up a second ago. Why didn't you ask me that? Kind of thing. It's trying to get the frontal cortex engaged and working all the time. And he said that this
it's waiting for that. It's waiting for that conflict to come back at them.
Right. And so
as
he
soon
said
as somebody
that,
starts screaming at them,
boom, it's engaged.
Boom. Then it pops alert.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So this guy talked about that, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I've had my kid on med for 5 years and this is something that could work. I'm going to fucking freak out. Yeah. I was talking to him on the phone. I was like, I'm on the edge of crying, bawling, and I'm on the edge of just fucking freaking out because I was like, because the guy talked about, and I don't know if this is a true thing or not, that during 15, 20 years ago, it was
the 1970s.
It was catching on. And people were like, this is really seriously working and is great for lots of anxiety, all kinds of disorders, mental kind of things that are
and the
too
guy
bad.
Who came up with it, all of a sudden, as soon as he published his work, boom, his funding dropped out from under him. And
they're saying that pharmaceuticals are like, we don't want this out there because we want you to take our drugs.
started coming out on the market.
Well, if that's true, I'm going to freak out really bad. It'll be a whole podcast about me just ranting and raving about that for sure.
The neat thing, you don't even have to do that though. The neat thing is you heard something on a podcast. You thought, hey, I've never heard of that before. That's neat. Maybe I never heard of flotating flotation tanks, flotation.
You and your made up words are so adorable.
I love it.
The fact that we've been friends for 20 years really amazes me sometimes.
It puts me on edge. But it was just one of those things I'm just really excited about. But then I had emailed you before that, and I thought, well, this is another meditative, mindful practice. The same doctor talked about being mindful every day, meditating every day. And then Joe Rogan was like, have you ever floated before? And he said, no. He's like, oh my God, I've got to get you into a flotation tank. You're going to love it. And so I was like, oh, so it was just one more thing that added to what we were going to talk about, what we were going to do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So,
and you had talked about how Joe Rogan has kind of been this really driving force with flotation tanks, right?
Right. He's definitely one of the only mouthpieces we have in the public. Other than just people opening float centers, I don't know. There's Float Nation, which is a free documentary, just at floatnation.com. And other than that, there's no celebrities really talking about it. There's no, and that's a double-edged sword. But he's the one that's kind of championing, being the one to do this. He's bringing it up on the mental areas, psychological and athletic. So he's really kind of going multiple areas with it, which is nice.
well, first of all, an Epsom salt bath is good for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Then second of all, the meditative aspects is super positive. Right. And then I think floating also, I think that for your body to be allowed to just kind of like literally lay there and float without it being required to do anything. Because I know they say sitting is is as bad as smoking now, but I also think that we're super busy. I don't sit very much at all anymore.
No.
I might maybe have an hour or two at night if I'm lucky to watch a TV show or something. Otherwise, you're going 1,000 miles an hour and then you lay down at night to go to bed. I think the idea of being mindful and floating probably has one of those, double effects instead of just shutting down and going to sleep.
Well, I was just talking to a friend about how even for me in high school, you get up and maybe you turn on the radio, maybe you have a TV, and then you have breakfast. There's usually some conversation somewhat. The phone didn't really ring in the morning. You'd go to school, get done, maybe do a sport. So you would be literally speaking with your mouth to people, and then you go home, maybe some TV. Maybe you get a phone call, maybe 2 phone calls. They last 10, 30 minutes. And then the rest is verbally speaking with people face to face. And then you wind down, do something, then you go to bed. I mean, even when I was in high school, I graduated 2000 and...
Oh, shit. Go ahead, say it.
2002, I believe.
I hate being old.
But I mean, so what was in between? Eye contact, verbal communication, body language, downtime, like spare time, downtime. So you were doing things versus I was checking this on my phone. I was Googling this on my phone, texting this, Facebooking that. There is literally no time when you don't have the opportunity to be plugged in. So it's the phone, it's the TV, the laptop, all the gadgets. 24/7.
See, my wife literally rolls over in the morning and is like on her phone. I'm just
like,
this can't be good.
I do it too.
I mean, I lay in bed. I mean, on Saturday and Sunday mornings, I lay in bed for probably an hour and I just lay there and stare at the ceiling and look out the window and listen to the birds. I feel like I'm just gonna let my mind lay here. I'm not gonna get up and start just doing shit right away. I just want to sit here and not think about anything.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we're doing it all the time. And if you think about your high school is pretty active too, but as an adult, I mean, it's always communication. You're always doing something. And I mean, now it's multi things. I can easily be on a computer and have a television on. And my wife
get a text.
And get a text, yeah. And my wife will be working on. She's working on her doctorate now. Working on her doctorate on her phone, and the Kardashians are on. God, what a double whammy, triple whammy right there.
When that's happening at my house, my wife's like, "What? We're spending time together."
Yeah.
No. Okay, so the idea that our minds are just so plugged in all the time. What you were just saying.
Yeah.
I felt like when I was floating, I don't have the skills because I never have to be in control of my own thoughts because I'm constantly bombarded. I'm bombarding my senses with something. I'm giving that control to somebody else. I'm saying, entertain me. Tell my mind what to think throughout 40 years of your life.
And I think that's why my mind was busy when I was sitting there. It's like, what are we doing? What's going on? What's happening? Hey, let's get going. I think and I used to practice like meditation once in a while, not religiously by any stretch of the imagination, but I had methods and I had I think maybe it's because you're sitting on a cushion and there's still things going on around you somewhat. And so you're still kind of engaged with, your senses. But I think being shut off completely, my mind was like, what is going on? This is really tough.
I was going to ask you, can you have, I was going to ask you if I could bring in like a waterproof MP3 player, like a guided meditation, something to keep you just barely focused enough so that your mind isn't going, but then at the same time, I think if I do that, or if that was an option, I'm not training myself to be in control of my own thoughts.
Maybe you are.
Well, you can pay me $60 to listen to your MP3 player. That's cool with me. But I mean, yeah, I think that the MP3 player can be used anywhere, and the total quiet is unique to the tank. However, it was built with 3 amazing speakers in the bottom. So that did come with the Samadhi tank. They are built in the bottom, and we have
What's that for?
Well, I have a receiver that just isn't finished being hooked up. So yeah, you could do that if you want. So there are speakers there that you can do.
Be cool to have a heartbeat going while you're floating. You go right back into the womb.
Dude, I was listening to my own heartbeat.
No,
I was listening to
pregnant women can hear the baby's heartbeat through the water, through their body.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
I was going to say, if the meditation helped you figure out how to do it yourself, you're like, you know what? I've done this a few times with the meditation thing. I'll try it without and see if I can do it. Might be like a little training tool, little wheels on the side of the
I actually used the Silva Ultramind meditation. I used to listen to that all the time. And so I was trying to remember exactly how does he say it? How does it start? And as soon as I started counting down 4, 3, and then I'd dream, and then in my dream, and then I was aware of my dream, and then I thought, where the fuck am I?
and then
I was like, whoosh. Okay, and then I point my toes. I'm like, all right, there's the door.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It's an extreme thing. It is unlike anything that you've ever had in your life.
Well, and that's why I asked you, should we do a whole hour? And you're like, well, did you say should you get half a haircut? You said you made some comment like that. And I remember Joe Rogan talking about, if you do it, first time you do it, you just do it for like 10, 15 minutes to get used to it. Was he thinking maybe people were not? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. So he will say shorter times sometimes. I really think that to get past that uncomfortable place to then enjoy the rest, you do have to be in there for the 60 minutes, is my perspective. If you just get in for 15 minutes and get out, it was kind of, I guess you could feel the water itself. So potentially you could feel the water, but I don't think that you would have the chance to go through those cycles like you did to really see what it was like.
Well, and maybe like this podcast, we usually, play Cards Against Humanity, drink a bunch. For the first 20, 30 minutes, people are usually not used to doing this kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so it usually at a half an hour, we're all just kind of chilled out and fine.
Yeah.
And that's why 2 to 3 hours was awesome, because then all of a sudden, oh my God, 3 hours has gone by. Holy cow, you got to get home and go to bed or whatever.
Yeah.
So, you have to acclimate yourself to it. So I think it's a good point, because I think I liked going the hour. I remember getting in, laying down, going, this is going to be a long hour. But I thought, well, I need to try. I need to give it an effort.
I just like the fact that it was unlike I told my kids, they said, hey, Dad, what are you doing tomorrow? I go, I'm going to be in a tank. What? Where? is it going to be underground? I'm like, listen, it's just like it's like a bathtub.
Underground.
It's like a bathtub with a lid on it. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to be floating. How are you going to float, Dad? You going to have a life jacket? No, relax. There's Epsom salt in there. It just makes it buoyant. What's buoyant? This was a long conversation.
Oh my gosh.
But they said, why do you want to do this? And I said, because for 40 years, at no other time have I ever gone without noise, without feeling something, and without seeing light of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
So to take that, remove like putting yourself into an uncomfortable situation and like training your mind to not freak out.
Right.
Because very easily I could have just been like, Jackie, not for me. I'm out. But I knew I was going to have to see
you want to
Todd
challenge
tonight.
yourself.
Yeah, you wanted to challenge yourself,
Yeah.
but it was also very like it was just super relaxing. When I got out, I didn't feel drunk necessarily,
Right.
but I just felt like somebody had turned the volume down on the world.
Right. Yes.
That's how it felt.
And that's what the woman said to us after my first one is I got out before Rob and she said, well, have you ever seen her smoke weed? This is what she looks like high. And I was so relaxed that I probably sat for 30, 45 minutes, completely relaxed. And Rob was in the tank and he came out and I was starting to feel that I could talk, function, move, but I relax a lot when I get into a relaxed mode.
Because how long have you been doing yoga and everything else?
That's probably about 5 years for yoga. Meditation came after that, actually. Well, I knew when I was younger that I didn't know what I liked, but I knew I had pictures of like monks in my room growing up, but I didn't realize they were monks. I just thought they looked really relaxing. And I come from a really Christian family. And so they were wondering why I had pictures of like Buddhist monks in my room. And when I had a purse, it was a Chinese style purse. If I had clothes that I was buying special, they were like the Chinese collar with the buttons and the, and I knew I liked that peaceful element, but I didn't know what that meant. So I even had a boyfriend that we had got in a fight like after high school, and he yelled at me telling me that I'm not Chinese. He was like, "You're not Chinese," and it was because I had like Chinese decoration, like not like the tacky Chinese American restaurant decorations, but like the Chinese
no red and gold paper lanterns.
No. So like the Chinese symbols or the peaceful picture of like a lily pond or something. So, come to find out, this is most likely what it meant is like meditation, yoga. So,
and is that kind of your religion now?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that I would have a specific religion. I just know that when I feel most peaceful and I feel like I do the most good is when I'm balanced. So if balance was a religion, then balance.
It's a good religion.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that it's perfection on being balanced all the time, but it definitely being aware of it and noticing when you are becoming unbalanced is it's key. You know, I think with the 10-day meditation, what I learned is that I thought that multitasking was a wonderful tool or a wonderful skill. And what I really found is that by, you know, moving some things out of the way for a while and focusing on something and giving it 100%, then it was done. Next thing, 100% done. Next thing, 100% done. Versus 30% of this, 20% of this, 10% of this. Got to go back to that. 30% this. Mm-hmm. It was more harm than good almost. And I actually saw neuroscientists speak about doing a study on the brain, and they said they believe it's now impossible to be literally doing more than one thing at a time. But yeah, it's really good to focus on things.
And you've talked about this a lot on the podcast about
I hate multitasking. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Back in the day, that was like that's how you did business, right?
Well,
that was like, hey, are you good? I'll hire you. Can you multitask? Awesome. No, I'm sorry. I can do one thing. I do it really well, and then I move forward. Dude, you can't be the turtle. You got to be the hare.
Right.
You got to do 5 different things. Can you do 5 different things? Yeah, I'm on my phone. Like my first wife. Wow,
Yeah.
was she a multitasker?
She
probably is a
She
multitasker.
still is a multitasker.
But I think that you're right. I think that is very detrimental.
Mm-hmm.
I think it creates a type of atmosphere, a type of culture that multitasking to me is ADHD. It's the exact same thing. It's like saying, hey, you're normal, but I don't want you to be normal. I want you to have ADHD. Well, you wouldn't say that to somebody. You wouldn't say to a kid, You wouldn't go up to a kid and go, I don't want you to be able to focus on one thing right now. I want you to have a scatterbrained idea and I want you to work on 10 different things. So when I'm trying to explain this to you, good, you're already listening to something else. Great, you're on track. You wouldn't say that to a kid.
Sure, good
So
point.
why would we say that to adults?
But you're expecting kids to do that too, though. It may not come out like that, but they do expect kids to be thinking on multiple levels in a lot of areas. Talk about the math. Some of the math you've gotten frustrated about,
Yeah. Well, great example of I really hate. That's a strong word. I know it's a strong word. There's somebody on some other dimension that hates the fact that I'm saying hate. But when you have X amount of time and you say, instead of back in the day when we were kids, maybe it was different when you were a kid. What?
She said phone, and I know she's talking about a cordless. We go rotary right away.
We go rotary.
She's cordless, so it's a done deal. Go ahead.
But when you say I have X amount of time and we're going to practice long division.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, Timmy, you haven't figured out long division for the first 30 minutes, but by the 40th minute, maybe you figured it out. Or by 55 minutes in, you figured it out. Mm-hmm. But now they don't do that. Now they have X amount of time, and then they show them 6 different ways to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start with long division. And you almost kind of got it. Let's move on to the next way to do it. And people are like, what are you talking about? And my daughter will come home. Dad, will you show me how to do crosshatch division with drawing lines and boxes and stuff? I go, honey, I love you, but there's no way Daddy can help you.
Well, first of all, it's called, I think that math is great. And this is why.
If you showed a kid one way and you just let them soak it in, and if you had the time to say, okay, we've done this for a month, you're not really feeling it. You want to try a different way? Okay. But when you show a kid 6 different ways in a week, for a kid that's having a hard time focusing anyway,
right?
It's a losing situation.
Well, I think you're oversimplifying.
Go ahead.
I think you're oversimplifying it. They do it more.
Well, of course I do. I'm not a teacher. Of course I'm oversimplifying.
But I think they try to show people multiple ways because there's so many. Everybody learns differently, and so out of those 6 ways, which I think is a lot for division, but and I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure there's only like 3 or 4.
But I think that lattice is the multiplication you're talking about.
Yeah, lattice is the thorn in my side.
And it's what when my son came home and showed me lattice. The first thing I did was smack myself on the forehead and go, holy shit. If somebody had showed me this, I am horrible at math. I struggle terribly at math. I still do. And if somebody had showed me lattice, it would have changed my life. If somebody had shown me the division that they do, I think Hang 7 was one my kid showed me once, and then he showed me another one too. I was like, oh man, is that so much simpler? That would have saved me so much time.
Right.
So, I mean, those 2 examples you shared of what frustrates you were 2 things that I was like,
okay,
man, if I had that.
But let me do a backhand to you since we're playing this verbal tennis match, right?
Okay.
How many teachers per kid would you like to see in a classroom?
I think a classroom should have at the most 20 students.
Okay.
For one teacher.
For one teacher.
Okay.
That's
at
a
the
lot.
At the most.
Kids.
That's super low nowadays.
Really?
Unfortunately.
So
Cedar Rapids on average is like 25 to 28.
So you wouldn't like to see 80 to 100 kids per teacher?
No.
Okay. That's reducing your resources. If you were to think of it as a teacher, right? Or if you were to think of it as a student, how many people can I go up to and ask a question to? There's one person. I gotta fight for my time for that one person. There's 100. There's 99 other students. Limiting your help is detrimental. So when you teach all these brand new ways of doing math, and the kids come home to their parents and they go, hey, 20 years ago, that was a resource. This adult could have totally helped me with my homework 20 years ago. True. But now you are not a resource. So you've eliminated all of these people that could have helped, right?
True.
Well, that's just like upping that's like upping your students to 100 students per one teacher. It's
Yeah.
making things extremely difficult for that student to learn.
My kids tell me about students that never do their homework because their parents don't help them.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Not because they can't do it, that they're uncared for.
There's
for lack of a
there's
better
parents
word.
like that, and then there's parents who give a shit, but they can't help because they've never been taught that.
Right. I've seen all the talk about Common Core, but I don't know what age group that is. I haven't even looked into it, but I heard that it's backwards.
It really depends. You're right. There are some parts like he's talking about that it seems counterintuitive that you would be
Rob, would
trying.
you like another drink? Why not? All right.
It seems counterintuitive because why would you teach all these different ideas? But they've discovered that kids learn on multiple levels. And so they try to introduce lots of different ideas so that if I'm good with stacking three numbers times three numbers, then I'm good with that. I get it. If I need to do lattice, then I have lattice to use. Because I mean, I know that I'll say to my son, he'll like, I don't know how to do this. I'm like, well, think about your tools. What could you do? Oh, I could use lattice, or oh, I could stack it this way, or oh, I could do it this way. I'm like, which one do you like the best? Which one works for you? I said, I like lattice, but what would you do? Or I was taught this one, so I know how to do this one because was back in the 80s. So he has things he has tools that he uses, and I see that as being a pretty positive thing. The idea of Common Core, though, is to try to get everybody on an even playing field. Matt seems to think that it means that you dumb down the good kids and you bring up the bad kids.
Yes.
What it really means is that
that's
when
what
you
I
have a
think it
group
means.
up here, you try to get everybody up here. It's not dumbing down a group. It's you have a group up here. So you have some school in the Northeast that's got a shitload of money and they're good to go with all the books they need. And you have a school down in Mississippi somewhere that doesn't. It's to try to even things out so that you bring these kids even with these. It's not dumbing down another kid.
Yeah, you know what? You know how this pertains.
That's my.
You know how this pertains to
interpretation of
floating.
it. What?
My daughter, when I got home today, I got home and then she came home shortly after me, and she came up and gave me a hug, and she goes, "Oh, Dad, you were floating, right? You floated today?" I said, "Yes, I did, honey. Can I float sometime? Can I float with you?" And immediately I started thinking, here's a girl whose brain is just whirling a million miles an hour all the time. She has a difficult time just kind of relaxing and slowing down. And I wonder, is there any environments where you have are there any floating facilities that are like, yes, two people can go at one time? Just to reassure each other or reassure a child or...
Really? I never... do people do that? They float
usually
together?
what they'll do is they'll use it for people that are special needs, for muscle concerns. And that would be just a kind of like a GoPro situation where you can just monitor. So you wouldn't necessarily be in the tank, but there are a lot of people that are asking for their children. I mean, they're sending me messages, kids in sports that are doing a lot of, multiple sports at a time. Their body's really taxed, or these kids are getting stressed out. Their parents are emailing asking if the kids can go. I have one person that has gone with a parental permission that's under 18. So it's something that I'm just looking at. I'm kind of trying to talk with other float centers in the United States and see how they're handling those requests.
Wow, I thought somebody with epilepsy whose muscles are always strung so tight, whether it's with or without seizures, the chance to float and be weightless might be incredible.
Sure. There's a gentleman who, in the Float Nation documentary, he has Parkinson's and he will get in the tank, but it looks like an open small pool. Mm-hmm. So it has like the little steps up with the railing and then the railing in. So then he just holds the railing as he lays himself back. And he just floats in like a room in his home. So that is not as, arduous to get out of.
Was it like a jacuzzi or it was like a float tank?
Yeah, it's a float tank, but I think then he has like a light switch on the wall. Like he's made it accessible for him.
Oh, turn it into a room and just kill the light in the room. If you're in the basement, this room is black as night in here. That's a great idea.
Yeah, this room is great, especially when I was working.
I told her earlier this used to be the place where I slept.
Oh, so beautiful.
You'd be so hammered. You'd be down here nice and cool. And like, oh, this is the greatest. Mm-hmm. Bathroom's right there. Perfect.
Yeah.
I the therapeutic side of it, I thought more of the mental therapy side than I thought the physical. That is a really cool idea.
Yeah. Magnesium is unbelievable. It's definitely something that people usually lack and don't realize it.
What is?
Magnesium.
Is that what's in the water?
Epsom salt is made up of magnesium and sulfates. So both
You didn't
things.
tell me you were drugging me. I never agreed to any magnesium infusion.
Magnesium has two things. One, it helps reduce sugar cravings. So,
Sweet.
So if you are deficient, you could be craving more sweets than you realize. Also, a deficiency in magnesium is often misdiagnosed as depression. So that's another thing to think about, which, goes hand in hand if you then have a bunch of sweets or, are getting a prescription that you don't need.
How did you get into all? I mean, did you study this? I mean, how do you know all this stuff? We've been researching it? Or?
Well, I originally was working in health insurance, and I saw that people were repeatedly sick. And the same people, you would think out of a national company, you wouldn't talk to the same people, but you do. And that was something that I thought was unbelievable. People would call and say, I'm on my third mortgage of my home. I'm still sick. Why am I still paying bills? This is ridiculous. And at some point, you realize that people need to do their own due diligence. And when we found out that the entire company was being shut down, I also found out that my cholesterol was 261, which is high for like a gentleman that's 60 that only eats bacon. That's a high cholesterol. So I was dipping my French fries in mayonnaise. I was eating a lot of bacon. I was 25 years old. So when they said, oh, you'll just take a prescription, every day, it's $74 a month. I was thinking, no, I need to get a new shirt for the weekend to party in. And I'm having beers with friends tonight. I wasn't thinking, hold on, friends, let me take my cholesterol pill and let's party. It wasn't like, oh, okay, $74 when you're 25. You're thinking I could drink for 2 days. It wasn't necessarily on my to-do list to go refill a prescription. So a lot of those things just made me, one, they told me it's hereditary. This is just the way it'll be. Like, here's what you have to do the rest of your life, which, number one, telling me that there's nothing I can do and you can't do anything makes me say, well, yes, I can.
Sure, yeah.
And so I had a year's notice with the layoff. So I just started exercising. I was eating the food that I was making. So I had a budget, which meant I couldn't go eat with friends if I wanted to. I was also saving up for a new car that was dying, because I couldn't get a car loan when I wasn't going to have a job. So I was in kind of a pickle. But what ended up happening is at the end, the second day after I was laid off, Rob and I had actually walked into an herb shop in town, and she was looking for someone to mentor. And so I thought it was really interesting that the second day, I wouldn't have been there if I hadn't been laid off. My cholesterol was 180. I had bought a new car. So I had done a lot of things that I put my mind to naturally. And so that got me thinking about food, health. People were asking me, can you coach me? So I started to get the idea about being a health coach. Became certified, started blogging recipes. So just kind of looking into things versus taking so many things for face value and knowing what I'm putting in myself. So, and that goes along with things you're putting on your skin. For women, they dye their hair so much. And we wear more makeup than guys sometimes.
I don't know. Have you seen him on a Friday night?
What day is
Sachet
I don't even know what to
Shantae.
say.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
We are going up on a Tuesday today. Nope. Oh my gosh.
What's today?
It's a Tuesday.
Cinco de
Today?
Mayo?
Yeah,
What is
today's
it?
Tuesday.
You guys.
What? Fill me in.
Oh no.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
I'll have to have you guys listen to music. It's a popular song that's on right now.
Tuesdays?
Yeah. Rob, what is it called?
Does it get high on Tuesdays? What are you talking about?
I think it's just Tuesday.
Or has that come about because of the floating and the other stuff?
I would definitely say it can come in waves. So my family, we always traveled. My dad and I always did a lot of volunteer work. Those are some things that I always enjoyed. But then there were times that I was sick, that I couldn't. But that was kind of a direct reflection of not having the balance at the time. If it was a financial imbalance where I was spending too much money out partying, so I couldn't afford to go anywhere. Some friends would travel. I didn't get to because of myself. So it's kind of the chicken, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Mhm.
So I would definitely say that being more balanced helps facilitate that more. If I still had my old habits, I potentially would be broke or, flush money down at the bar or, and I have no problem with people that drink or as you say, I mean, we're going out and doing fun things. But I would spend excessive amounts of money when I went out previously. So yeah, I would definitely say it helps, but that's not why. I enjoy traveling on my own.
But your
Rob
family
enjoys
kind of
traveling.
nurtured that. Like you were on into that.
They
from-
did because it definitely showed that it was a possibility. I mean, I know some friends that have never left Iowa, and
Mhm.
to me, that's unbelievable.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
crazy.
It is. It's very interesting, and I'm just thinking, well, you should live in like a McMansion. You should have something, and they still don't. So I'm just wondering where the money is going. If it's just like useless.
Well, we
junk.
just had Kevin Bassett on, who is he creates websites and
Mhm.
he creates wonderful music. Right,
Mhm.
he spins records and things like that.
The DJ.
DJ, yeah. But his brother Corey
Mhm.
is a filmmaker, and he is
Yeah.
traveling all around the world. And
He's in Nepal right now, following a guy motorcycling through Nepal.
right.
How awesome does that sound?
Nice.
So we were
God.
talking. I was asking Kevin. I was like, your view of the world is completely different
Mhm.
than your brother's view of the world, and completely different from my view of the world, depending on what you've seen, where you've gone.
Mhm.
Does it match up with the I've traveled a little bit. I was in the military. I went over the Sinai. I was in Haiti. We've Todd and I have gone to Costa Rica together. We've seen a few things.
Romantic.
Well, I should have said he took his first wife. I took my first wife.
But we get that a lot. It's
Yeah,
okay.
we do. We get that a lot. I mean, after 20 some years of friendship,
Yeah.
you're going to get that.
We still
right?
have church people that see us and go, "Oh, you guys are still together."
You're still
It's so
Oh,
adorable.
you're still together.
You're still together. We're like both like, "Oh God."
No, actually, we just ran into somebody that we went to like Bible study
Yeah.
with back in early 2000s.
Yeah.
And
Back when you graduated from high school.
Oh.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, or previous to you graduating. So we were driving away, and I go, that was nice. It was a good meeting. I was really surprised to see her. And then I just started laughing. He goes, what are you laughing about? I go, she's probably thinking to herself, holy shit, they're still together.
Yeah.
No matter what they want to do, they're still side by side.
Yeah, we can't get away from it.
It could be personal training or tennis or podcasting. They're still together.
Nice.
Found Jesus together. Lost Jesus together. Float tanks. You name it, man.
We
Nice.
float.
We
We don't float together.
I float
Oh.
naked in the same tank that you floated naked in.
Yeah.
Right.
See? It's
Right, but there was a filtration system that
Yeah,
happened in
there's
the
still
middle of that.
some of
Twice
you in
for
there
him.
for sure. Yeah, I got 2 times. I didn't realize it
That's
was time
right.
for me to get
That's
out.
right. I was like, oh, when's that filtration thing gonna kick in? I really want to get to that point to where I am laying there and I've just kind of mastered myself.
Sure.
You know, instead of feeling like I'm doing these
Mhm.
huge ups and downs, like I'm just kind of steady.
Rob, are you there? Can you float and be totally cool with it? I mean, it's just a piece of cake now, huh?
Yeah, I floated probably 10 times or so, somewhere in there. I try to do like meditations during the morning. Not long ones like that, but like try to get a 15-minute in just to kind of focus and
before your day
set
kind
the
of starts.
day. Yeah, just to kind of
That's a
figure
good
out what you're
idea.
trying to accomplish. And then I feel like the tank is nice for a person that doesn't want to sit there and have to work on their posture and their back gets sore. They're like, oh, I can't really do this, and that's distracting. It's like, literally you can go in there and you can meditate right away. So it's like after you understand that first flow and you kind of have an experience to reference, then you can come back the next time and it's up to you what you make of it. But it's easier at that point. You can just get right in and start to kind of dig into those areas in your mind that you might have been curious about.
Have you ever heard of like Joe Rogan says, like smoking, getting high before you go in there?
Oh yeah.
That sounds trippy.
I have on my first floater website page, it says, our floaters our floater safety is our main concern, no drinking alcohol, yada, yada, alcohol. And I don't know. I don't drug test people when they come in. I don't breathalyze them. So I'm trusting them. However, you just never know.
Right.
So, it's very interesting. I've never really looked to see what the locations were when they were doing that. Was it all Chicago or Colorado when they were doing that?
I think it's his in his own float tank in his house, right?
Right. And that's what I was thinking. And I'm, it's different than someone doing a podcast or somebody making a video from like a commercial location and saying, oh, I'm walking in here after smoking or eating brownies.
Right.
I think that would be,
Sure.
my insurance would drop me,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that there's so many.
Well,
things.
and I think of floating, I guess I'm kind of thinking of it as a way to kind of center yourself and get your mind kind of straight and get stronger mentally. I think of it that way.
Well, that's
he sounds
sweet.
like he kind of does it to like challenge himself. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to eat a whole brownie and then see what the hell happens and challenge. I mean, I don't. I guess I see floating as enjoying myself and kind of getting it.
That
meditating.
thing is about him having a psychedelic trip.
Yeah, he wants
him putting himself in an altered state.
Right.
Yeah.
So how best to do that besides you're floating and you're taking a hallucinogen?
Right. I mean, it's just kind of, for him, it's not a yoga class. For him, it's a roller coaster, like a theme park. He's going in for this like sensory boost.
Overload kind of, yeah.
Versus
allegedly, we don't know what his intentions are, but I mean, the way he talks about it seems like that,
Yeah.
I have a question. Since you were, it's very interesting that you said that you used to work in the insurance field, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can people the floating, is that in any way, can that be written off for your insurance, or does insurance cover that?
So that is something we're looking into. I had people that would claim the health coaching under their flex spending account. So the flex spending accounts are different than your insurance carrier.
Yeah.
So somebody just contacted me and they're going to come and float, one float, and send it in. And really, that's the only way to know. Send it in. If it's approved, then and then we'll know after that. However, we would only know for that specific place.
Right.
So everyone has different rules. Everyone has different plans. So it just depends on the person and the plan.
And then
see.
how does that get submitted? Do you try to submit that, or
they send it in? So it's kind of like if they took their kids to daycare and then they get that receipt from the daycare provider, they send it in, and then it's their own pre-tax dollars. It's not necessarily the insurance company approving or denying something.
I would find it really hard to believe that insurance wouldn't, or I would find it hard to believe that you couldn't use that with your flex spending, right? Because I have flex spending. I've had it since I've had kids, and if you want to go out and buy 100 knee braces, you can do it.
Well, people go out and say, I have to spend my flex. Let's get new glasses. Let's go,
Let's go on a spending spree to buy health-related crap.
Right.
Yeah. Well, usually you could do it to like a fitness center and get reimbursed. So you could sit in their hot tub. So you could just kind of, when you're explaining it, I think what we will need to do is I will probably need to type something up, semi-official looking, about what it is. Because I'm sure when they would get it, they would have no idea. They would just look at this and be like, I don't know what honest floating is. I don't know what this means. I don't know what a float tank is.
I can't believe they're trying to get us to pay for them tubing down the river.
I know, right? Tubing.
Well, but you think about it, they just now started getting like going to see a chiropractor to get covered. Forever, that was like
True.
some kooky thing that you wouldn't get covered. It's like, what? Holy cow. Now it's like a main. That's why I go back to this neuroscience thing. I think of, going to a chiropractor, if neuroscience or neurofeedback works to help, and then you have float tanks, those are all non-pharmaceutical medical field kind of proactive solutions for ailments. And it drives me crazy to think that stuff can't, so you want to do something different. Great. We're still going to pay for it. We'll help you out. But, I'll say that, a good shot of antibiotics when I had bronchitis was fantastic. It took care of it really quickly. But if I could find a way to keep myself healthier before that by doing some of these things, then that might be the way to go.
Yeah.
Because we've thought about doing the, what is the one where you get really cold and you step into the room? It's cryotherapy.
Oh, there's cryo. There is a center down in Arizona that has like 6 different services. They have like you ever seen the Himalayan salt lamps? They're like the pink lamps you click on.
Yeah.
The entire room is salt like that.
And what's that for?
You breathe it in. So the salt is like
it's in the air.
Clear. Yeah, it clears everything out. But I mean, you look at it and it's been sprayed with it everywhere.
Wow.
You sit in like a beach chair. And it has that. There's different, totally amazing, different kinds of therapies there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because we were talking a week ago. We were just talking. I was like, he's like, when we get things paid off and we start doing it, we need to open a float tank cryo place and start pulling in athletes. And because Joe Rogan talks about that cryo stuff all the time. But can you imagine? I can't imagine getting into a box that's negative 250 degrees. That sounds so.
But you're only in it for a couple of minutes.
3 minutes, but still.
Do you know it really helps your metabolism and your fat burning too?
Really?
Man, that would be huge in Iowa. All these fat bastards.
Why are you looking at me?
I can't look away. I don't know what the deal is.
I'm glad I didn't wear my tight shirt.
But I liked our conversation when we were coming back from Minneapolis about cryotherapy and the float tanks because
they're not intrusive.
I wanted something for me, and then I thought, how great could it be if I had something for me, but I could also make money off of it? Like the huge benefits and how relaxing and what you get from your float tank. You can do it whenever you want, but you also make a little cash from doing it. That's awesome.
Something that I was interested in you saying about previously being in the military. So they're talking about some great benefits for meditation for PTSD for veterans. And some veterans that I talk to think that the tank would be terrifying and like open up scary places of things they've seen. Or some people think that it would be relaxing because they get to be calm. Do you think anything with that? Like, do you think that's why you had the highs and lows?
I never saw a battle or conflict when I was in the military, but that freak out, when I shot up and I had to start breathing, just if for people that I would give it a shot, I would try it if I was a veteran. We have a ton of veterans. I work with a ton of veterans that could really probably be helped a lot by this, but it's that it depends on the person, I think. Everybody's different. When I started getting anxious, because I would kind of wake up and I would wonder like where I'm at, thinking about some of the stories my friends have told me that I work with and the horrible, horrible things that they've seen, I would have a hard time thinking that they would be able to relax.
Right.
After just one jarring thing, and then then you're looking for the door.
But it's like anything, though. I think multiple times. That would be the kind of the key. You have a freak out the first time, and then, okay, so I got to work on this part of it, and then you try it again.
That would be really interesting. I mean, I would love to have. I'm sure there's like 15 people that I work with that would almost be. It'd be interesting to see like as a case study.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know they've gone through horrible things because they have the purple hearts to show for them. So it's like, I think you'd be a good candidate.
Yeah.
Well, Rocky heard that I was doing this today. He's like, you've got to let me know how it is. I was like, well, you know what they look like and what it's supposed to do. So he's like, yeah, but you give me, I got a business card in my pocket for him. He's like, you got it. I want to try it. I really want to try it because he's been doing meditation for the last 6 to 8 months.
Right.
And he just started doing it. And so he's like, well, it's one more step. It's one more level to jump into. I'm like, yeah, you probably love it.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think Rob's used to sitting so long. Poor guy. Eventually, our next studio, we're going to have a raised table so that people can stand, like what you were saying earlier when I was at your place. Speaking of business cards, and I picked one up out of your chamber, right?
Yeah.
The chamber.
Out of your chamber.
I should just paint that on the door.
The
Rob,
chamber.
Rob was very cool with it. When I
Welcome
said
to
that.
the chamber.
But on one side, it has, the float stuff.
Yes.
On the other side, it says what?
The Shiro experience?
The Shiro experience.
Yeah.
And I thought, when I picked it up and I looked, that was the first side that I saw.
Okay.
And I thought, what the hell? How did I grab the wrong card? Let me see it. Can I see it?
I have a website for it too.
All right. I'm going to pull that up because I thought it was a really neat thing because my daughter is doing Girls on the Run.
Yes. And we collaborate with them. We I also participate and help plan Habitat for Humanity Women's Build. So one house each year is completely built by women. And they partner with Girls on the Run. And they were at our table at the gala just the 21st. So
what is the Shiro experience?
the Shiro experience.
All right, what's your website?
I have no
That's
idea.
right there. What you see on the screen
Yep,
there is
Girls
Girls
on
on the Run. And it talks about all the different things that they kind of teach and they deal with girls and help the girls through. And at the end of their program, they do a 5K.
Yes.
They do a 5K run.
And it's not necessarily that they're all making best time or anything. It's just the simple fact that they're there, they're learning the lessons because they also talk about, confidence, doing well, being friends with each other. And then at the end, they do the 5K together. So one of the teams had a girl that they all at the end were cheering on to finish. And she walked. And that was totally fine with everyone. It was mostly the fact that everyone was cheering her on when traditionally she may not have even tried.
Right.
So that's a really cool.
Or had anybody
part of
supporting her.
It's been probably the coolest thing, the most impactful thing that has happened to my daughter this year.
Yeah.
Maybe for the last couple of years. I mean, it's been huge for her.
And parents can support, a young girl all day long, but it's another level of support when it's someone on the outside or when it's their own peers.
Right. Especially if it's a girl that's like, hey, honey, who'd you play with today? Nobody.
Right.
Nobody?
Right.
You don't have any best friends? Well, yeah, I have one or two, but.
Well, it also helps, I think, with confidence and then making better decisions for yourself and as an adult later on in your life. You don't date some asshole, because he's giving you attention because you need it,
right.
kind of thing. So.
Right.
We talked about how floating kind of helps, like your what you do with your life and how you're trying to help people is kind of this quiet, like inside your head, dealing with stuff quietly, medicine type of thing, right?
Sure.
It's a very nice, quiet thing.
Okay.
What I found really helpful was I did podcasting with my daughter the other night.
Oh.
So we had a
nice.
show. Like my kids are really excited about doing a show with me. And because I'm always like, get out of here. We got to be quiet. God damn it. I'm trying to do a show. But my daughter said, I want to have dad time.
Yeah.
Can you and I just do a show?
Cool.
And so is it going to be on YouTube? No, honey, it's not going to be on YouTube. We're just going to videotape this stuff. And how neat would it have been if right now you could look back at a conversation you had with your mom or your dad when you were 11?
Yeah.
And you could have seen how cute you were, and like what was your favorite color, and what were you into? Oh my God, I can't believe that's right. I was into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I can't believe every stitch of clothing I had.
My room was purple. My curtains are green. Oh my God, what was wrong with me?
Yeah, we're talking about my daughter. We're not talking about you.
I thought you.
The room upstairs, right above us, is purple.
No.
But we had a conversation, and on a couple different levels, it was really awesome. One was before we started recording, I said, honey, I don't want you to talk to me like I'm your dad. I want you to talk to me like I'm just some stranger. So I'm going to ask you questions.
She screams bloody murder for her mom. Stranger danger.
You're bald. I said, I'm going to ask you questions. And even though you know I know some of these answers, I want you to answer the questions as if I don't know them.
Right.
So we had this conversation, and what was interesting was a lot of the fucking answers I didn't know.
Wow.
I really didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just talking about school and what you're into and all these different things. We talked about Girls on the Run, and then she said, I go, so hon, is there anything you want to, what do you think I don't know about you that you would like me to know?
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, I think what I want you to know is that yesterday we have to leave our mistakes and our history in the past, and tomorrow's a new day, and focus on the future. What? What did you just say? And who are you? You're 11 years old, and you just threw a quote at me, and I did not say it the way she said it. What she said was beautiful and perfect, but it just amazed me. I'm like, where did you get that?
Yeah.
When did you start reading quotes?
Yeah.
And when did that start meaning anything to you?
Right.
And she attributed it back to Girls on the Run. It's Girls on the Run that introduced that type of thinking to her, and that maybe a week ago she couldn't do something, but today she did it. And a week from now she'll be even better.
And Prairie has an optimism club. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
And Richard Moritz, Lori's husband, is one of the guys who helps run it through Prairie. And I heard that, and I only know that because I had a friend whose daughter had to give a speech and got a little award for.
Oh, right. And Rich was standing by her.
And so I was like, oh my God, I know that guy. But I thought, wow, a club just on optimism, which to me, I'll be honest, I thought a little geeky. But then.
Geeky or foo-foo?
No, geeky.
Oh.
Geeky. I don't think it's foo-foo at all. Geeky. But I certainly think it's a wonderful thing, but I can see kids going, oh, you're part of the Optimism Club? That's good for you. Everything's roses and rainbows for you every day kind of thing. But I think because we well know is how cynical our world is and how it's always judging. I think that's probably my biggest thing about the Kardashians and some of those shows.
Yeah.
Is it is judging 24/7. And not just, it's like every move you make. It's like how you look. It's like what you say, what you do. It's like you're just being watched, just like almost waiting for something to go wrong to be
critiqued.
Yeah.
You looked over your left shoulder. You should have looked over your right shoulder at me.
Yeah,
bitch.
It's always something little like that, but I think that just kind of eats and cuts away at you and your person all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I mean, it's notorious that girls are worse than guys when it comes to gossip and those kind of things. But I think it's good for guys too to be, you know, you can be put. I mean, I was walking through the gym. My son enters middle school next year. We're on a little tour of the school, and I was like, "Oh shit!" The middle school locker room. God, was I bullied in there? Holy crap!
Okay,
you know. And so I was like, I hope he has a better experience. And so the teacher was talking about what, you know. Oh, we get dressed here. If you don't feel comfortable, you can go back there. Nobody cares. Blah blah blah, kind of thing. And I was like, just reliving my middle school days, going, "Oh shit." As a guy, you know, as a little skinny little runt that just got picked on all the pure white hair. I had that like towhead hair. My dad cut it for me because we were hippies, and so it was like a bowl around my head. I looked a little odd. I was nice though. I was just quiet. Yeah.
When did that oddness go away?
Oh, it's still part of it though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Hopefully,
what was the website for your thing?
It's just
for the Shiro.
The back of the card. Yeah, the Shiro experience. For spelling.
TheShiroExperience.com. Do you know how to spell that? It's all one word. The Shiro Experience, all one word.
Let's see if it comes up.
THE.
Yeah, experience.
You know what? Oh, I must have spelled it wrong.
How odd. Do you know Jennifer Murphy? down. She's a life coach down at the Cherry Building in the Newbo area.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay. She was on episode early 50s, I think. We had never talked to a life coach before. And she has her shop with a buddy of ours, Chuck Kavanaugh. So she's in the back and he's kind of in the front. He does all this leather.
The glass making? Oh.
That's her boyfriend is the glass maker. Yeah. There's his Rise Above Leathers.
That's Rob is co-owner of a real estate company. Oh, I don't even know if I can legally say that because it's...
That's okay. Don't take any chances. Makes me nervous.
Yeah,
But you know Chuck?
I don't know. Rob would know if he can legally talk or not.
Do you know Chuck?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's
Okay.
You can say
Chuck's
you
a
know
great
somebody,
dude. Yeah, Chuck's awesome.
right?
Yeah.
You're not wearing your watch. There's a Chuck Kavanaugh watch right there.
Chuck Kavanaugh watch right here.
Nice.
I loved it.
Sick.
I loved it. I still love it. It's beautiful.
You just don't wear it.
I.
Thanks, Chuck.
How many podcasts have we been videoing?
I'm just
All right, this is like number
Relax.
81, I think.
Yeah.
81.
I like
Yeah.
that.
And for 50, at least 50 podcasts, I've worn that. And it's right here, Mr.
Chuck's been on a couple times, and his wife, Tammy Jason, country singer, she was on. She's going to come back on pretty soon here and actually play some music for us. I'm excited about that, too. So
They are also floaters.
Are they really?
Yeah. Yep.
Chuck's a lean, mean
He beat
dude. He
you
probably
to it.
just floats
That
like.
son of a nutcracker. I cannot get the Shiro experience up here.
You can't just type in the Shiro experience into Google and see what happens? Do you want me to do it on my computer right here that you can't see?
EXPERIEIEN. Yeah. .com.
ENCE. Put an E on the end of experience.
Oh, because I can't spell. That's what it is.
How do you guys know Kevin Bassett? I know I went to high school at Wash, so he was
Oh, really?
years, but
So we know Kevin
really good.
because
Chuck.
Todd's wife knows Chuck,
okay.
right?
So Chuck invited us to.
Well, and we knew Chuck. We had Chuck on the podcast,
Right. And then he
we got
invited us
know
to
Chuck.
Corey Bassett's birthday party at Parlor City.
Okay.
And we met him
Correct,
there.
right?
And then Corey came in and helped us set up some of our lighting and things like that. And then Kevin spins records at Bruhemia and stuff like that. And so they're hard men to get a hold of.
Yeah,
And so I
because they're so busy.
hunted poor Kevin down for months to get him in here. And we had a great time. But we just kind of know him through Chuck, kind of, because they helped Chuck with his website and something else too. So
Yeah, and there's a YouTube video for Chuck for his business.
I saw that on
Rise
the
Above Leathers.
NevoDistrict.com. I think Kevin's website.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kevin's going to help us
he's
get on
gonna
that
he's
too.
gonna put us on there too. That's
Well,
good.
yeah, the
very
podcast with Kevin was just he said primarily he was really nervous to come on, right? And he didn't want to play the Cards Against Humanity. He's a very sweet,
positive guy.
positive fella, and he doesn't want to be. I got the impression he does not in any way want to be
associated
with negative things, which I dig. I understand
and
that.
Cards Against Humanity
completely.
is kind of negative.
Yeah, the Cards Against Humanity, because you're giggling about horrible things. But when he was on, well, I should think when we were all done, I said, "You're one of the nicest people I've ever met. You created a label with your mom's initials. That's the name of your label, your music label, and you won't just take anybody. It's got to be somebody that isn't swearing and that has a decent message to the music because it's reflecting on your mother." And I thought, dude, I don't know if I've met anybody quite as awesome as you. I feel like a terrible person right now, just being close to somebody as nice as him. But yeah, I really enjoyed his talk, and I thought when he came on, I thought I don't listen to very much music. I'm not a music aficionado. I don't know what house music is compared to techno.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a difference.
See,
Yeah.
there is. And then there's something else. There's Ebo.
There's twerking.
Don't ever say that in this podcast room again.
No, that's what all the guys are doing now. You should
The
next
guys-
time,
the
next
guys
time
are
you're
twerking?
out- next time you're out, just be the first one to do it, and then they'll know.
All right.
you're the
Now-
best.
EDM is the
EDM.
is the
EDM.
new kind of like techno rave.
Twerking gentleman.
All right. This will be my take. EMD.
What I say? EDM.
It's EDM, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is it EDM or EMD?
It's EDM.
Yeah.
EMT?
I don't think it's
DMT.
Night at the
DMT?
Roxbury. Yeah.
The Roxbury.
Yeah, gold chain.
Yeah.
You broke the window again. That's an old
God, yeah, I
movie.
remember that.
Was Will
Ferrell.
Ferrell in that?
Yeah.
It was Will Ferrell
But
and
he had
the
a
little guy.
He had a small
The little
part.
guy.
No, it wasn't Schneider, was it? It was the other
I forget
guy.
his name.
His
He was always like the
pseudo-twin.
monkey guy on Saturday Night
Yeah.
Live.
Oh,
the little guy.
Yeah.
it's not Rob, but you're close. It's close to that though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of it. My wife really wants to see that that new movie with Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart. What's that?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Getting
yeah.
Hard.
Get Hard or whatever.
Get Hard. My
I
wife
just
my
not
wife took
sure
my
if I'm-
kids to that.
It's rated R, isn't it?
I don't care.
God.
I wanna
You guys in your
see-
rated
I
R
wanna
movies and
see
flipping each other off. I don't get
Messed
it.
Up. Have you guys seen the previous?
Messed up.
Messed up.
Who's that with? Oh, was that the one with Ben Stiller and no? Okay,
No.
never
What
mind.
is it?
It's a girl one. I mean, it's looks like the funniest
Girl one.
ever because
Is it the girls from Saturday Night Live doing it?
no, I don't even know anyone in it. It's just it's kind of no names, but it looks horribly hilarious. I mean, it looks like there are going to be a lot of Hail Marys after that because it looks pretty bad. But essentially what it is just going over normal girls now and how they're all a hot mess and that's just how they are. But it's funny.
All right.
That
I'm
sounds
looking forward
great,
to seeing it.
Jackie.
Yeah.
This is a horrible segue into the Shiro experience.
Yeah. So you take women that are, you want to give an example of women that are a hot mess. And
Yes.
how do we fix those girls? We go to the Shiro experience. Now, if you're listening to this in your car or on your smartphone or whatever, you have to type in, unlike what I did, I fucked this up like multiple times. This is what you have to do. www. Todd laughs at me because I still do that on my Apple.
www. God, just type the damn thing in there.
He's like, just type the damn
Is
thing.
it messed up? Just messed up or all messed up?
What are you talking about?
The movie she's talking about.
question. I can definitely look that up.
But this is how you get to the Shiro experience. It's www. And then Shiro is SHERO. So that's like she and hero thrown together. So SHERO and then experience, and make sure you spell experience correctly, unlike what I did. And then .com. So theshiroexperience.com. And I got to say, it's very small. It's a very short little thing right here. So
Yes.
what is this doing?
So this is just giving you the definition. So Shiro is essentially a woman or man that supports women's rights and represents women's issues, a female hero. So that's why Shiro is put together.
Okay.
And then it just briefly has a description of what the Shiro experience is. So I have been to a lot of business events where you have a great guest speaker and you connect with the people in the front of the room a lot, but you don't connect with the people there because they say, okay, network for 15 minutes and then the next speaker will be up. And you don't have time to talk to people. It's very forced. It's very awkward, but they pay guest speakers great money to come. So they have great people there. And then you'll go to like a music festival, a yoga event or a workshop somewhere, and you meet people there and you're relaxed. You're working on something, so your guard is down,
Mm-hmm.
and you end up talking about your family or you talk about something you enjoy, so you connect with people there. So I thought, how can we get all of the women in Cedar Rapids together without being really awkward and without everyone having their stilettos on with their hair perfectly curled and everything being just really forced?
Yeah.
So I just decided to have everyone go to Camp Wapsie. So Camp Wapsie, we did kayaking, canoe, yoga, Zumba, meditation, climbing, and zip line. We had
Can I go?
Yeah.
Do you have to be a Shiro to go? Or can
We do keep
We can
it
be
for-
bosom buddies.
Yeah, we do keep it with women specifically. And so we had Denise Stapley speak, who is
She's been on twice.
yes.
We love her.
Exactly. Lydia Brown, who started Ascent. So Ascent is a nonprofit to help women start businesses in Iowa. Out of the United States, Iowa ranks number 51 for women-owned businesses, which is the lowest.
Holy cow.
It's pretty bad. I mean, that's District of Columbia. They have like one zip code, and they're beating us. So
well, they do have a smaller pool, Jackie.
Right. So Stephanie Gray, who started Integrative Health and Hormone Clinic, she's just at the forefront for if I go to her when I have a concern and she's like, hey, let's look at your vitamin D. She's not like, here's a prescription that you'll take for the rest of your life. You know, she looks at different things. Dr. CJ Clean, who is a chiropractor at Back and Line Chiropractic in Hiawatha. That's where I had my health coaching office. So she does functional medicine, chiropractic. She also will look into things like vitamins, minerals, supplements versus directly to a prescription pad.
Nice.
And then Kinsey Farmer. Do you guys know her at all?
No.
So Kinsey Farmer is a 16-year-old locally where she started to notice, kind of like in Girls on the Run, that there's something that happens from the middle school to the college age where girls will start to be less ready to raise their hand. They don't want to answer first, even if they know the answer. They don't want to be this the all eyes on them because they'll be called bossy instead of leader. They'll be called a bitch instead of quick thinker. They'll be called a name versus looked at in a confident way. So she noticed that, and she created Success to the Power of She, which is a mentorship program where the girls are mentoring the younger girls in middle school. So that was a 16-year-old. So that was pretty unbelievable. And
so is she finding that girls being taught by girls in a girl atmosphere is better than being mixed in with boys?
Well, I would say the mentorship portion, what it is sometimes when adult women, no matter how nice they are, if they walk into a room to sit down and mentor someone, it kind of goes back to that awkward situation where you're saying, hi, you talk about this, you talk about that, and you maybe never get to the real bulk of the issue because you're told to be respectful to people, don't say too much. You're just taught to talk to adults in a different way. So then if you're working with someone that is only a few years older than you, that's just being nice to you and mentoring you, kind of like Girls on the Run, you're more open. You'll tell them about something that happened, and they can readily relate because they were just in that grade a couple years ago. So it's a really unique idea, and I think that they're working it out now where that girls actually do it during school time, which is another concern. When do you do this? During sports time or during school time? Well, school time is best, and they're hopefully able to get school credit for that mentorship time. So
what better leadership skill would you want a kid to have than hands-on experience like that?
Right, exactly.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the best learning tools is teaching
Somebody else,
Yeah.
And she actually does the big school, which is out of the Geonetrics building, the CoLab vault space down in Newbo, the Newbo area.
Which is a great building because every other Wednesday, let me see. I was going to try to do the math and when the show is going to come out, but every other Wednesday I go down there and they do the 1 million cups.
Yes. I presented Shiro there actually.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
How long ago?
Was that September?
Well, it was a little while ago now. Yeah, it probably would have been sometime.
How nerve-wracking was it? Nerve-wracking for you? Because I thought maybe we should present there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you should definitely do that.
But
yeah.
But look at him. Look at his face.
Because he doesn't like crowds. So I'm like, I love talking in front of people.
Sure.
I have no problem at all. But he starts, I can see the anxiety levels.
I might have to float a few times before.
But the thing, when I went on, it was different because it's usually things are, you have 15 minutes, you have this minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You have, I think it was 6 minutes.
Right.
And
unless you go to UNI.
And that's good. Yeah, Rob's business presented in Waterloo, and they had half an hour. So,
we didn't know it. Like I just kind of got thrown in. Here I was for half an hour.
Question.
Students. Well, it was like
great.
it was more like we started out, and then we just kind of went through our, pitching our business model to all the people at the university. But like it was a coworker of mine that was opening up our Waterloo brokerage, and she's like, yeah, come down and help. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll come fill in, a little logistics support and yada yada, some of the things that she doesn't know. We get up there, and she's like, by the way, you're going to be doing most of the talking. I'm like, what?
But that works because then you don't have time to get nervous.
Yeah, I didn't get nervous. I just kind of got out there and shot from the hip. But yeah, half an hour later, I was getting grilled by the faculty. So
nice.
Well, I shouldn't give you a hard time because you did a good job on that Channel 2 news thing.
Yeah, when we were on, it was actually Channel 28 Fox. We went on there last Friday.
He and his partner, and he was nervous.
That's right. Me and my partner.
He was nervous, but you did a great job.
Yeah, my partner. He was. It's
a podcast, man.
It's a complete. You know what? It's a completely different animal. When we do our podcast, like what Todd was saying, you have like maybe the first 20 minutes or half an hour, you're a little nervous. You don't know what to expect. You don't know. Like if I was asked on somebody else's podcast, I would be nervous.
Me too.
Because I would feel like you're going to be asking me questions. I'm not that interesting. But I'm asking you guys questions. I want people to know all about floating and how does it affect my life and how I've thought about floating and different things like that. So when I went on Channel 28, I was a little nervous, but you only have that time. You only have the nervous time.
Yeah. You
only have a small amount of time. If we were there, what was it? Maybe 5 minutes at the most. It was between commercials. So they're throwing questions out at us, and it was fine. It was a nice atmosphere. In fact, half the time I was looking at the studio going, "Oh, that's what it looks like. That's a cool studio. Yeah. I like that. I like the lighting. Wow, that's bright." Type of a thing. But when we got done with it and we went back to the green room, we started talking to the guy that was on before us, who was he runs an animal shelter or animal clinic or. What is it? It's a pet store in Iowa City.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Chinese restaurant.
I'm trying to think of. I know, but you saw it. You saw the show.
Oh! The guys who were on before you.
Yeah.
Because the dog peed in his lap. I noticed that right away. He owns a pet store in Iowa City. But he was an engineer.
Right. He was an engineer, and it was fascinating because we had a better talk in 15 minutes after the show because it was very relaxed. And we had just gone through that uncomfortableness, and we're just hanging out in the hallway. And he goes, "So you podcast? I podcast. And what do you podcast about?" "Oh, this is what I podcast about." And so, how did you get into what you're doing? Because I'd love to have him on the show too, because he was an engineer that just said one day, "Done."
I think I'll own a pet store.
Hey, Mom, Dad, all that money that you helped me spend for college and getting this degree and what I'm supposed to be, what society says, you've made it. I'm not happy at all. And what's going to make me happy? Owning this pet store. I love this pet store.
Chinchillas.
It's awesome. I wake up every day. Or maybe you have a dog that growls, "I love you."
I know.
With this rubber toy. I didn't know if I was supposed to take the toy.
Yeah.
Like I said, my favorite part is when she hid behind me and I looked down and she literally was like trying to be as still as she could be. Like
I love the fact that her name is Chakra. Like you walk into your home where the float is. You walk into their home and I see a little Buddhist head. I see an iPod 6 with like bamboo wood covering on it. And I'm thinking Todd's going to walk in here and he's going to go, "My people."
Yeah.
Oh, I love my people.
Yeah.
And the blue walls. And then the dog's name is Chakra.
Yeah.
Perfect.
A big, tough, possibly scary looking dog named Chakra, which he was very sweet. Is that a girl or boy? Girl?
It's a girl.
Girl. She's very sweet.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
She's big.
God, she's big.
She's big.
Who plays the guitars?
I play.
You play the guitar?
Mm-hmm.
She does the yoga. Do you have a Rocksmith? Do you play?
No, I haven't. I've heard about it. I actually thought about picking that up if I ever find time.
You want to borrow it?
Maybe.
I got it.
For what? PS3 or
Xbox.
Ah, shit.
Son of a bitch.
Damn system discrepancies.
But I would like to play that if I was mentally tough enough, I need other things to like stimulate me. Like if I had a little robot servant slave to walk beside me, go, Matt, you have to do this now. Remember, you want to learn how to play the guitar. So let's just carve out 30 minutes right now, big boy. Do the guitar. Come on, get on Rocksmith. You purchased it. Like, all right, thank you, little robot. And I'd play. And I'd get done. Now remember, you wanted to meditate. It's good for you. I almost like because we're bombarded and we have so much stimuli coming from us all the time. It's so easily. I'm like squirrel, constantly, and I think that the majority of Americans are like that. And it's not as dramatic as squirrel, but it's as dramatic as the TV is on, and there's a new commercial. And what do I have on my DVR? Oh, thank God I have 7 shows DVR'd so that I don't have to move for the next 6 hours.
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that I know that I let society impact me. Like I got a ukulele when my son started playing the guitar or playing the bass. And so I thought, well, that'd be kind of fun. I could play.
Extremely masculine.
Yeah. But then I read something about how all the hipsters play ukuleles. And I was like,
put it down.
Fuck, I don't want to be some hipster person.
Why can't you just do it because you like it?
Like, I got it from me and my kid.
Yeah,
not so I could be a hipster.
I heard sex was trendy too, so.
All right. Thanks for bringing up the sex topic.
Slap across my face.
She's segued us in
To the sex talk?
All right. Not necessarily a sex talk.
Oh. We did have Denise Stapley on.
Right.
She's
awesome.
She was awesome.
Wonderful.
We did the Tough Mudder with her.
Nice.
When was that? That was last
That's pretty
summer.
tough.
It was actually
No
easier than I thought.
intended.
It was easier than I thought.
It was fun. I mean, it was fun. The only thing
have
that
you
I
guys
wouldn't
wanted to do it?
We've thought about it.
Yeah, we did the
Got to do a little training.
what was
for
it?
that.
What when the
Warriors
Warrior
Dash.
Dash? Yeah.
The junior edition.
It's a great one.
Right.
Warriors Dash
Yeah,
is a
we
high
did
school
that
to do.
I don't
first.
think they have
Yeah.
any electrocution.
That was the
sucked.
only part
That was
that
the
I think that if I
worst.
do it again, I will be running by that part. Honestly, it bothered
go
me
around
so
it.
bad.
So
We
I
both
don't
got
know
knocked
anything
out.
about this. I don't
We
know
both
what
got
this
knocked
is.
out.
What is
So
it?
it's 10
Yeah.
miles. It's 10 miles
No,
long.
the electrocution part.
So at the very end, they have electrodes hanging down all over the
Yeah,
place.
they have wires.
wires
Just
attached
tons of
to them.
wires.
And then they have pits of mud and dirt and then straw bales and then pits. So as you're running, you're trying to get through, you're getting shocked by these things.
I thought
and
you could go down.
No, you can't get under.
You can't get under them. Oh
You
no,
can't
they
get
make sure that
underneath
doesn't
them.
happen because
So then would I be able to squeeze through?
No.
Like,
No.
Nope.
No. It's like
Just get shot.
it's like trying to run through. I don't know. I don't even know
Let me
how
put
to
it this way.
explain it.
We all lined up and we're all doing this together as a group. And everybody's like, let's all hold hands and do it together. And I was like, fuck that. And I took off running by myself. And I took 2 or 3 steps in and I felt like somebody had hit me on the shoulder with a baseball bat. It threw me down face first into the mud. Like
He was wearing a GoPro on his head.
I'm like this.
He was wearing a GoPro, and
No, it was right here. It was right here.
Oh, it was on his chest.
And I went like this.
Chesty.
Face plant.
Right into the mud. So you can see everything. He's running, and then mud, and then black.
And then,
wow.
And
and then
that's
I
it.
got up, crawled over, got hit again on the shoulder, crawled over, and I'm at the last one, and it hits me right in the side of the head.
Oh.
And I'm like, that is, and I had mud in my eyes, so I couldn't see. So I didn't enjoy everything up to that point. I had enjoyed
great.
how hard it was,
Right.
and everything doing things together. That like ruined the experience for me.
It doesn't matter how like tough you are. Like you can't overpower electricity.
Yes, sir, you are correct. It was horrible.
It was funny because he got knocked out, and when we got all done, we took a picture of us. He was muddy on one side of his face, and when we were done, I was muddy on the other side.
Okay.
I got hit in the ear, bonk, and all I remember is like doing this, like super slow motion, like I was rolling off my back
How is that okay for
and
your...
thinking,
It's at a
wondering
level.
how did I get to this point?
It's not the volts; it's the ampage. I think is how they. So it's
justify it.
So it zaps you good, but it doesn't. It's not going to hit you with a certain kind of.
But you know
ampage
what?
or
To
hurt
be
your chest.
honest, if you're a behemoth, like you and I kind of are, and we're running through this thing like a freight train, and all of a sudden we're like, lights out,
That's right.
and you hit,
Yeah.
that's not good. That's bad.
I would be toast.
Now
Well,
I
yeah.
will say this: there was a girl
Yeah.
There was somebody who went through it,
in our
didn't get
group
hit.
that did not get shocked once. Not once. And this thing was like a good 20, 30 yards
Yeah.
that you had to run through. And it was literally...
They were watching as you went through, and they're like, zap.
Hey, watch this fucker go down. Blank.
Yes.
Well, that's what I wonder if it was like that. Because then it's like, okay, everybody, let's run through the finish line together, hold hands. I was like, thank God somebody grabbed my hand because I couldn't see because I had mud in my eyes. And then they hand you a beer when you run through, and so I was pouring it in my eyes to get the mud out. And they're all going, don't waste a beer like that. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, come on.
Yeah,
this is too much.
All I want to do is go. All I want to do is go shower and lay down.
How about a chicken leg?
Yeah, the Tough Mudder was awesome.
It was great.
And I would suggest your first time doing it, I would do it in a group.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we did it, it was possibly perfect. We said, run as fast as you want. If you want to be, if you can't stand to just barely jog and you had to kick ass through it, kick ass.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to the next obstacle, just chill out and wait for everybody. And then once everybody from the group gets there, we help everybody through the obstacle. And then boom, you can take off like a fucking deer again.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Go
great.
at whatever speed you want.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait for us at the next one.
Yeah, it
And
was
so
really
it was
awesome.
really cool. It was I ran twice. That's
Well,
how I prepped. I ran twice. And I didn't go over 2 miles, and then I went and ran a 12 miler and
10
just
miles.
10
That's a
miles.
long-
Yeah, and to
It's a long run.
do that,
Yeah.
I think the thing that got me through it was just stopping at each obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
Just chill,
And catch your breath.
catch your breath.
Except for Denise is like bouncing around.
Yeah,
and
Denise
shit.
is
I was like,
doing
"Would you
handstands
relax?
and
You're
shit.
killing
I'm like,
me."
what are you doing?
She's running on her arms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, every part of it was great. I mean, like even like the stuff that's supposed to be bad, like the ice bath you had to swim through and
Yeah.
things like that.
It was 2 seconds.
Yeah, it was really not that bad. The only time I think I actually kind of got hurt is you had to run up this ramp that was curved and it was slick and you're covered in mud.
I
And
love this part.
And I was like, I'm fucking getting this. And so I ran and I didn't think about the curve. And so I ran as hard as I could and I hyperextended my
awesome.
leg because the curve wasn't there.
Oh.
And I just went,
I thought you stubbed your toe. I thought you stubbed your toe.
I hit so hard. I was like, oh, inertia.
Now,
So terrible.
if people want to see this beautiful thing take place, oh damn, I should just go to YouTube.
It's-
My ADD kicking in. So how did you guys kind of get started with your podcast? And
Oh no,
I mean, obviously this just doesn't come
the
out of
table
nowhere.
has turned, Todd.
I don't know how to answer. Well, we spend a lot of time together, and our kids are all the same
Obviously,
age.
yeah.
So when my wife got pregnant, because we introduced him to his wife, is my wife's best friend.
Yeah,
It's
he
his wife's
called
best
me
friend.
up one night and he goes,
Yeah.
"Dude, where are you at?" I go, "I just finished a night class at Kirkwood. What's going on? I'm in the parking lot. You got to get to this bar. There's a bunch of drunk nurses."
And I knew
All right,
one
I'm
that you
there.
really like.
All
So
right, I'm there.
anyway, so when we got pregnant, they can't have kids. So when we got pregnant, they adopted their first child.
Yeah.
We got pregnant the second time, they adopted their second child. So all our kids are the
Perfect.
same age.
Perfect.
And so we were spending a ton of time together and we're always having conversations all the time. And then is it 2 summers ago? Yeah, 2 summers ago, I said, we should do a podcast. And he goes, what's a podcast?
Yeah,
And then we
I
started
had no
listening to
idea.
Joe Rogan like right away because it's so freaking such a great podcast. And so we started with a table mic that stood up, and that sounded like shit. We did that like twice. Sounded horrible. Went to the store, got the little
It
headset
did sound
and the
terrible.
mic.
Sound
That
terrible.
sounded like shit, but we did a couple that way. And we probably did 30 podcasts before we actually started recording them and actually doing them. We trashed this. We spent so much time on them too.
Yeah,
but then we sat down and we said, are we really going to do this? And we
Yeah.
said, yes, we want to do this. So we better buy some good stuff and be
Yeah.
serious about it. Because all the podcasts we listened to that we were hoping would be great sounded really horrible.
Right.
They were
Yeah,
really
so
good
listen
conversations, though. They were just.
It just sucks. It doesn't matter what the content is. If you can't really
Yeah.
hear it, it's not as.
Well, and
Yeah,
we had a
exactly,
podcast with the
exactly.
gentleman, Brian
Wormager?
Wormager. He's on a podcast that'll be coming out in a couple weeks. I was sitting listening and I heard like some scratching noise, but it was more of like
From the
it
cables.
was a cable somewhere and I couldn't figure it out. But
wow.
all I was thinking was somebody listening to this is going to go fucking bonkers. Listen to
Yeah.
that scratching sound. So I figured it out really quick because it was bothering me,
Mhm.
And then I think that the idea about this though was that we had all these conversations and then our egos were big enough to think that maybe somebody else would want to listen to the conversation or be part of it.
Right.
And so it started out him and I chatting and then we got very bored with this. And then I said, well, we need to let's have a
Well,
guest.
we started finding our conversations were they kept revolving around the same issues.
Sure.
And I'm like, haven't we said this before? We've said this before, right? And then I said, how about I'm in charge of the technical stuff and recording and things like that, and try to make the website and all that stuff. And how about you're in charge of finding interesting people to come on and just talk about stuff. Our very first podcast it was on Labor Day.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Labor Day and what does it mean to us. And he said something foo-foo and sweet. And I said, it reminds me of the union guy that nobody can find.
Jimmy Hoffa.
Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh, yeah.
I said, it reminds me of Hoffa, Labor Day. He's like, Jesus, does it really? and then he started talking about different states and different cities. And I thought, what is so great about this city? I wake up, I have obligations, I have responsibilities. I wake up, I go to work, I come home from work, I interact with my family, and then I go to bed. And the next day is the exact same, and the next day is the exact same.
And I was like, you're crazy.
If I do anything different, I might be going to a restaurant, or I might be going to the mall, or I might be going to the movies. But that's it.
It's kind of like the float tank idea, though. You said you would like to have a float tank, and hey, maybe I can make some money on the side, but it's really for me. Well, the podcast was kind of like that. It was for us, but hey, maybe we'll get a chance to meet some people, and it'll be fun for all of us. Kind of thing.
And what it's turned out to be is us meeting amazing people and going, holy shit! Like the curtain just pulled back and seeing the wizard, and then going, what's that fucking curtain behind you? And having that pulled back and thinking, I had no idea so many neat people came through Cedar Rapids. We've had
we met Jeff Johnson who owns Penguins Comedy Club.
Right.
He's pushed through 10 comedians to this podcast. I mean, he just calls the guys and say, hey, you're coming to town on Thursday? Be here at this time on this date. And they just show up here. And we do a podcast with them. I mean, if we hadn't met him through that, if we hadn't met Lori, we wouldn't have met you. I mean, we've found so many
life is connections.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
exactly.
insane how many connections there are.
Who was I talking to that I told Rob that I said that Rob would say that?
What?
I was like, Rob believes there's these interwebs and people.
That was me.
It's totally true.
We were sitting there talking. I was like, Rob talks about that more than I do, but I agree with it. But Rob is always the one that talks about that.
Yeah,
more.
you were saying that he has a completely different outlook on floating than you do, right?
In the very first float, it was similar to yours. Did you open the door a little bit for airflow?
I didn't.
No?
No,
Okay.
he didn't puss out either. Thanks.
I told him.
No, I really appreciate that.
It was hot. Like it was just
it was
mine
the tank
like
we were
really
in was too
when I
hot.
in. I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, I'm dying here. I'm like, am I supposed to do that? And then like I turned into something where I was like, it was just like
battle
a
of the
mental
wills.
discipline where you're like, there's no way I'm gonna open this door.
That's right.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how bad it gets. And then
Some of us just suck it up, buddy. It's all right. It's all right.
hey, that
thought-
could be like my inner child just
Go have
being,
a-
like shut down.
You know what?
Go have a salad and a
I
glass
was
of water and you'll be fine.
super proud of myself. I thought,
I think you did the right thing.
yeah. Todd's going to come here. I'm going to ask him about his experience, and he's going to say, dude, I was out. As soon as my kid said, Dad, Todd's here, I thought, he's not supposed to be done for another half hour. I bet he got in. I bet he got in, and he couldn't handle it, and he's like, I'm out.
Can't do this, man. I just can't.
And then to find out that I was the one with the nightlight on and my whoopee.
Your whoopee. Well, I was shocked with the light. I was like, oh, hey, there's a light on here. I think she wants me to get out of this place. So
Yeah.
that's funny.
You just kind of said, yeah.
I said, yeah? She
Yeah.
goes, everything okay? I'm like, am I done? She's like, yeah, the alarm went off.
There's
Like,
another
what
guy.
alarm? She's like, the vacuum sound. I'm like, oh, that's the alarm. And the banging. Clunk, 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 clunk. Hello. Get out of
Hey.
my basement.
Big, fat, naked guy. Get out. I got things to do.
Exactly.
Got a podcast.
That's right. We got a podcast to do. But I mean, so that interconnectedness is absolutely, we wouldn't have this podcast if we didn't have that aspect, period.
I think it's cool, man. I think it's really neat that like you guys. I think there's a lot of people that want to just do things like this, but then they just don't. You know, they don't take that step like you were talking about earlier. Oh, maybe I should go play guitar, but I got some other stuff to do this like in my face. But there's like really a lot of things that everybody's capable of, but people don't really actualize themselves just because they don't have the right people around them to say, hey, we can do this, or the right situation. So it's neat that you guys are pulling this together and you're enjoying it and you're seeing the benefits of what it can be like to connect with people from all different walks of life. And
Oh, this has
And we-
been a total
and-
icebreaker.
And we would love, I mean, if we made money from this someday, that'd be awesome. But it comes down to like he says. I say things to my wife like, people have hobbies all kinds of stuff. This is the one thing that I do that I love doing. I think I texted that to him the other day.
I love my job.
I was like, I love my job. I mean, I can be at work all day long and deal with some serious shit, and then in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, I got a podcast tonight. Good.
Yeah.
2 or 3 hours, I can just fucking chill and not have to worry about anything, and just be myself.
Yeah.
And you get
You're gonna talk regardless.
Right. Well, and this is better than watching TV. I mean, seriously. I mean, I zone. I mean, I think I use that as a really good excuse. My job is pretty intense sometimes, so I'm like, I can just zone out and watch something. But that's not necessarily the most healthy way of doing something.
You know what this is kind of like? This is like a modern day version of what people did back in the 50s when couples would be like, oh, are you going to come over for Scrabble? Or are you going to come over for tea or whatever? Like they didn't have the televisions, right? They had radios, but they would invite their neighbors over and they'd have conversations where that just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you're having some drinks and there's a bonfire, like portable bonfire in a driveway.
Let's do that. Jackie and I, we've been doing, we've done a lot of the networking stuff. And like she said, it's kind of hard. It's like, it's awkward. You're like, everybody's kind of there like, oh, I want to connect. But like, it's just weird sometimes, to do that dance. But we've been doing dinner parties with people, and then we'll just go to a restaurant, or they'll come over to our house, or vice versa. And it's awesome. We had one last night with Chris Bass from Bass Farms out on Highway 30 across from Palisades.
Been trying to get a hold of them. I want them on the podcast.
He is. They open tomorrow for their season, but they had just had a baby, so that's potentially their schedules. Where usually it's winter, insert a baby.
Because we had Quinn on from Lions Bridge, and he said that I think he's going to be a new pickup for Bass Farms, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I was like, I already have growlers from him, so if I could pick up vegetables and get a discount on a growler.
It's a twofer.
I'm getting healthy and drunk.
That's right. It's healthy for you.
All those guys are great. And I think that's kind of one of those things. It's the people that you're mentioning are really, all of them are just awesome people. And so I think us being able to connect and have more it's quality, not quantity, and have meaningful connections.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. You actually get to find out who somebody is rather than a fake smile and a couple, chatting about some weird.
Well, we're going to have either our 100th episode or our 2-year anniversary. They're going to coincide really close together in August. Right. We've talked with, what's Chris's last name? I always blank on his name.
I forget.
From the Quarter Barrel. Yeah. He had him on.
Right.
He sent us t-shirts and glasses. Really nice guy. He's opening this brewery pub / 80s arcade, right?
Right.
And so I heard about that and I was like, I'll be there all the time.
Yeah, it's
that sounds so great.
Chris Ellis.
And so he offered to us to have our a celebration of our 100th episode or our 2-year anniversary there, and then we would just tell everybody we've had on the podcast just
here's an open invite.
So
open invite, just come and have a beer and
hang out. Yeah, that Chris Ellis, that's episode 55.
Oh.
Episode 55.
What number am I?
You're 80. You're 81.
81.
You're 81.
19.
And
old.
Let's see. If you want to see you want to see Todd eat shit on if you want to see him eat it on an obstacle, you can watch episode 37, Tough Mudder. That's when I show some of the.
It's another thing too about the GoPros we were talking about earlier. The very first obstacle, we're crawling right underneath the barbed wire, and I happened to look. I was like, I wonder where's Matt at? And I turned like this and looked like that, and he just happened to be looking at me and smiled, and he got this perfect high def picture of himself from my GoPro. Oh, it was so awesome. Yeah. It was very cool.
Yeah, and then as we came up on this, it's a quarter pipe that you had to run up, right? Yeah. And we were watching, and as we came up on it, I'm thinking, all right, the clean parts of that ramp are where people are biffing and just squeegeeing that mud right down there. And so we were in line and we watched this girl just eat it.
3 times.
I mean, she just completely threw herself out there, totally extended, whack.
Over and over again.
So then I go, I'm just going to go. And I run in the next lane over from her and right up. I must have got it wasn't me. It was just a dry spot on the ramp. So I'm like, come on, guys, let's go. It's easy. So here goes this girl again for the last time.
No.
Whack. she slides down. She hurts herself this time. Now she's hurt. And there's other people that come over and they're trying to help her. And Todd was like, I'm not having any of this shit. I want to get through this obstacle. So he runs right by her. And what's great about the GoPro footage is that you see people go,
Like,
look at him like,
douchebag.
what the fuck are you doing? And just as he passes her, I thought you kicked it. I thought you kicked the plywood with your big toe and wham! Oh, he belly flops, slams onto that plywood so hard. It is.
I stood up and I was like, oh,
and
tomorrow
and you
is
could
not
just,
going to be good.
And you could just see all these little thought bubbles above all these people's heads going, that's what you get, Dick. That's what you get.
I ran by the
You
wounded
ate
girl.
Like stepped on
Karma, instant karma. That was a
Way
bitch.
to not help somebody and just like run right
Are
on
you
top
okay?
of them.
Yeah, good.
So I would suggest that if you guys go do the Tough Mudder, Todd and I anyway, I don't know.
We're
about
down
Todd.
I'm down for another one.
I'm totally down with doing another Tough Mudder this year.
Yeah.
And if
Minnesota
you guys
is supposed
are
to
of
be
the
great.
same mindset
Mhm.
of, run however you want, but then we hang out and do the obstacle, I'd
Run
love
past.
to do a team with you guys.
Wonderful.
That would
that'd
be really
cool.
fun.
Let's
I'd be
do it.
totally down with
We
that.
can start up another
Yeah.
team.
I bet you
We
Denise-
did the team with
bet you
Denise
Denise
Stapler
would go
last time,
again.
Yeah,
She'd probably go
Absolutely.
That'd be
again.
fun. I think I'd be open to that for sure.
it would be a blast.
So then the
The
question
cool
is,
part after that
we would
was
all
that,
have GoPros.
there you go.
Yeah.
You can watch everybody
You
wreck.
can't hang out unless you have one.
Well, the cool part after that mud run, Denise is like, "Hey, we have a cabin. Just come back with us."
Wow.
And so this
Yeah.
beautiful cabin they rented, they let us. We all got cleaned up. We did a little podcast with her on the deck to
Nice.
kind of wrap up the
Mhm.
whole Tough Mudder podcast. We had like the best time. It was so nice.
Yeah.
And Malcolm, one of the guys that was on the show, it's a very popular guy. He sat down and
Sponsor
chatted
that,
with
yeah.
us and his
it
uncles.
was
and
Denise's
his mom and
family
dad
and Malcolm's family.
It
Nice.
was
Yeah.
it was very cool.
Yeah.
I think that something I always tell people when they tell me they're bored, you almost have to look at the city like you're a visitor and like actually do some looking into things, like looking at things to do and different events. That's not here, but like wherever you are, you can't just sit and talk to the same
They're
10
just bored
people.
because they just look at their own routine. You know?
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
can't look at the
Right.
same
Of course
10,
that's
10
boring.
people and go, we don't have anything to do. Well, they're sitting at home with their
anybody anyway
kids. You're
either.
sitting at home with your kids. You
Well, it's
know?
like Cobble Hill Restaurant.
This is
Yeah.
I mean,
It
I've
is
heard how
awesome.
great
I
it
went to
is.
school
Yeah.
with
And you walk inside-
Schumacher, the owner of that.
you walk
And we
inside
did-
and it's like,
we
holy
did a
cow.
podcast with
Yeah.
them.
It's
Very
beautiful.
Yeah.
It
Nice,
is.
man.
And his wife is amazing too. And
Yes.
then, I heard great things about it. I went in there and then I contacted him. And then we walk in, we're like, holy cow,
Yeah.
is this nice?
Yeah,
Delicious.
have you have eaten there then?
Yes.
It's a very dark, romantic
Mm-hmm.
place. I mean, it's almost like God, it's hard to
Feels
explain.
like
It's
Savannah,
just
Georgia.
Oh, that's true.
Like the way that it just kind of opens up and you like the curtains,
Rustic,
like, when you
but
walk
clean.
in, it's
Mhm.
like kind of that just.
Yeah.
It's like
Really
an old
feel.
industrial kind
I
of
love
feel
it.
to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. And then
Yeah.
who is it? Josh, the bartender?
Josh, the bartender with
He
the
made,
curly mustache.
he made us a drink.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen him, but
Yeah,
He
you
was
don't
great.
forget those mustaches.
bald,
If you watch
bald
that-
guy.
if you watch that
beard,
podcast.
curly mustache.
He did a good job on
Yeah,
that podcast.
that's episode 70 for those of you
Nice.
that are listening.
11 to go.
Yeah.
But again, so I mean, this is introduced. I mean, especially when he first made that comment, there's nothing to do here. Well, he said that about lots of places. I was
Right,
like,
and I
"You've never been
challenge
in
people.
You've never been in Chicago? Holy shit, you can't turn sideways without
Yeah.
seeing something to do. Cedar Rapids now. I think it's even easier now with
Yeah.
the theater of Cedar Rapids with the
getting
new DoubleTree. It's better.
Right.
You know, we have a ton of restaurants now that are actually doing well, not just open but doing well. I think Nubo is kind of like the heart of it. To be honest, I love the vibe out of there. Is so creative and different. And
Still
Right.
need some music festivals.
Well, and I think the other thing,
yeah, you're right. I think Nubo Ale House
Yep.
is going to do a music festival coming up here this summer.
Yep.
Oh, very
And we're
cool.
trying to cover that.
We're trying to cover that for them.
That
So
would
Yeah, we're
be
trying to work
awesome.
out something with them where we get to offer the bands like a music video. Like we'll
Yeah.
videotape them playing, and
Very
then give them
cool.
different angles.
and then do kind of a little podcast with them maybe,
Yeah.
and then let Nubo Ale House have that to promote their music stuff. So
Very nice.
yeah, we're hoping.
You guys
we're
are-
baby
See how
stepping,
it-
but
You guys are doing good though. I mean, like
yeah,
you guys you came out of nowhere and you just I think that's how a lot of things start out. It's like starts out as whatever, and then you're like, oh man, this is actually kind of possible. And then you start seeing we got 3 or 4 bricks now. Let's put another 5 bricks down, and the next thing you know, you're like, wow, how did we get here? And people start to respond.
we have that happen all the time. What?
Yeah.
a year ago did you think this was going to be happening? Because we've only been doing it. I mean, it'll be 2 years here coming up, but that's not very long. It's not very long at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've lived a lifetime in the last 2 years with the people we've met and the things we got to do. I mean, I just feel like, I've had the best time.
Yeah, especially when I look at my Facebook now. I've just recently started this Facebook phenomenon. It's Facebook, right? It's
Facebook.com. It's amazing.
So,
I've had to
keeping
force
track of the guests that have been on. Like I'll friend request them, and then they'll accept, and then just keeping tabs on all the people that have been on and what's up with their lives. And I think, what was the comedian, the older gentleman that
Dan Chopin?
No, the guy who gets sex all the time.
Oh,
the guy who has sex just constantly. It's right here. Mike Armstrong. That's episode 74.
Let's keep him young.
Yeah.
You should listen to that podcast. It's one of those podcasts where I was like, oh, he's a clean comedian. He's going to come in.
Super clean.
He's already saying things like, hey, guys, I got to get out of here in like 45 minutes. We're like, okay, that's fine. That's usually how it starts. Everybody's like, yeah, I got to be out here pretty quick. And the next thing you know, we're 2.5 hours in, and he is talking about these sexual experiences of his on a regular basis. Not like, oh, hey, I had this girl in Vegas. It was like, oh, I was in this small town and such, and this wife or this daughter and her mom. I was like, what?
I honestly,
how old are you? You're 62. Good for you.
Honestly,
Holy
I
cow.
looked at that a lot like maybe you look at Shiro.
Oh, see, he
No.
does this.
Oh, hold on a second. It sounds
analogy is
terrible.
gonna be
It sounds terrible at
crazy.
the beginning, right? But to listen to him, and not all of the stories are appropriate, but to listen to
None
in general,
The
what
stories are appropriate?
like in general, what is he saying? In general, what he was saying was, and he did say this, I just lay it out on the table. This is who I am, and I'm comfortable with who I am now. And a lot of men are not comfortable with who they are, what they want, who they want to be with, and they're really not comfortable with saying, I'm not comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And so we should probably be done. You know? A lot of his stories were this is who I am, this is what I like, this is what I expect. And if you're not down with that,
cool.
fine. But we understand that before we take our first step.
Yeah.
You know? I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
There was another situation where he was with a woman that he really cared about, and she was extremely successful. And she said, listen, just come live with me. I'll take care of everything. I'll basically be your sugar mama. And he goes, no, we're done. And well, why are we done? You like me being with me. I like being with you. Why are we done? He goes, because if you did that, I would resent you because I need to do what I do.
Right.
Just being honest with yourself.
And if I can't do what I need to do, then eventually it's just going to wreck what that sounds awesome. It sounds great.
I wanted to say, I thought she asked him if he would have to stop doing so much traveling and stop doing part of
She
what
was
he was
a surgeon.
doing.
I believe she was a surgeon.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's like, well, I don't want you traveling all the time, kind of thing. It's like, this is what I do. So I think she was asking him to kind of stop doing some of the things that he.
But there's little
Clearly not
nuggets
doing.
of gold for men in that podcast. Not all the raunchiness, but there's little nuggets of gold of know who you are. Don't compromise on certain things. There's certain things you should never compromise on. And how can you respectfully and with some authority, with some dignity say, no, this isn't going to work. And I care about you, but you need to go do your thing and I need to go do my thing. And how many people after 20 years of marriage go, I wasn't happy from the beginning, but I was too nervous and I wasn't secure enough with myself to do my own thing. So I stayed in a terrible relationship. So see? So Shiro, powerful women making their own decisions, a little nuggets of gold from
Chicken nuggets.
From Mike Armstrong.
Yeah.
How was that?
He was an interesting guy. But again, it was one of those ones where all of a sudden we're like, oh, it's been 3 hours. You probably need to go.
Yeah,
Feel
he
bad.
actually brought Jeff Johnson, I think, as
His out.
Perfect.
right?
Yeah.
And then Jeff goes, "Hey, I gotta get going." And
They were
Mike's
like, Mike, you okay? You want to stay? It's like, oh yeah, I want to stay.
Yeah, I wanna
Having
stay.
a great time.
I want to stay.
Okay.
Like, all right. That was awesome. Hey, we need to let these guys go.
Yep, we do.
Speaking of which,
Yep, it's past
so
Past
yeah,
Street lights are on.
they're gonna turn into pumpkins. So, do you want me to do I'm just gonna do my thing, and then I'll let you do your thing.
What does it say?
All right.
Yeah.
So, as we said before, check out Sweet Raw Joy. Go to sweetrawjoy.com, desserts to live for. If you're looking for something that is sweet and healthy for you, if you want to be active and you don't want to shove your face full of M&Ms.
Damn, they taste so good, though.
And they're like little medallions of love. Why do I say that? Because somebody is, thinking about putting that together. They're actively putting that together for your enjoyment. There is
and
effort
your health
and time.
They're
put
thinking
into that.
about you.
It's not just let's throw a shit ton of ingredients into a mixer and let some machine do all the work and it pops out this little thing at the end. She's really, there's a lot of love and attention that goes into that. And these little medallions, these little golden things, perfect little things, they're really filling.
Man, they fill you up
I can
in
have
no time.
I can have like 2 forkfuls and I'm full.
Just for the chocolate.
Or I can eat a whole bag of Doritos.
I think the other ones.
And then not feel very good for a week or so. So check out sweetrawjoy.com. You can order online, or if you live in the Cedar Rapids area, you can get some stuff through. Where's that new place?
New Pioneer.
New Pioneer Co-op.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Which I love.
Lori, all of the Shiro speakers received Sweet Raw Joy.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
It's all interconnected. It's all interwoven, isn't it?
Yep.
If you want some sweet ass hockey gear,
sweet desserts,
sweet ass hockey gear. That's how that was my segue. Did you like that?
Oh,
I'm working on it. I'm trying to pull things
Fantastic.
together. But if you want something that you're like, hey, I'm really into hockey, but I live in Iowa and nobody else likes hockey. Go to saucehockey.com. Check out some of their gear. They have hats and shirts and jackets and sweatshirts and cool little sayings. And if you want some biz nasty, go to their website, click on biz nasty, and
also check out their YouTube channel. They base a lot of their business on hanging out with their friends, spending quality time with people, listening to music, playing music, and they've discovered some incredible artists that they have on YouTube.
Yep, so their YouTube channel. You just type in Sauce Hockey on YouTube, and then click on their channel. And whew, I was really surprised when I went to their YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I really, really enjoyed it quite a bit. And thank you very much always to Jeff Johnson with USAEntertainmentAgencies.com. If you go there and you want something to entertain you at weddings and corporate or even dueling pianos, you want to figure out what's going on in the area and you want to be entertained, go there. USAEntertainmentAgency.com. Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it, buddy. Todd?
Yeah.
So let's say somebody, I always like to play this out.
I was trying to find a unique way of doing this.
Yeah.
When I just have to state the same thing.
I'm gonna try to mind screw you for a second. Okay. Let's say somebody's on Stitcher.
My skin's salty.
Let's say somebody on Stitcher typed in the Primal Scream podcast. Hey, what's this? Oh, I'm gonna listen to it. Hey, that sounded awesome. Where else could I go to watch the Primal Scream podcast?
You can go to YouTube. That's one of the most popular places to go to watch or listen to. I should say listen to. I have a lot of friends in California that pull it up on their computer and then minimize it and listen while they work. That's the easiest way is YouTube. But you can also subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher.
And how would they get
follow
to
us
that?
and type in itunes.com. And you can follow us on iTunes and Stitcher. Are you still trying to mindfuck me?
I'm just saying a super easy way to find us on iTunes or Stitcher is go to our website, TPSP Productions, and click on the little iTunes button right there. The iTunes button or the Stitcher button.
With me.
I've heard, this is what I've heard. I've screwed up in the past and I've labeled things a little bit wrong and people had a hard time finding us on iTunes or finding us on Stitcher. But if you want to subscribe so that you get a notification that a new podcast is out, go to the website, tpspproductions, with an S.com, scroll down, and then you'll see these buttons right here. There's a little donate button. That's a really important button. But there's also a podcast button. You click on that, takes you to our podcast. You can download those. iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Todd's blog. Todd, how's your blog been going, buddy?
Good.
Do you need a little robot helper next to you to say, Todd, do
Have you seen that
a
emoji?
blog?
Have you seen that new robot they have coming out? Literally, it sits.
Google one? Or no?
Oh, I don't know if it's Google or not, but it's called emoji, and it looks like a Mac though. It has a little bubble and another little like it's like a ball cut in half, and it's a screen, and it has a little eye that winks and it talks to you. It says, "Oh, welcome home, so and so," and it covers all security for your house. It puts things on the wall so kids go to sleep. I thought it was a joke when I was watching this video. I thought it was a joke, and it was no joke. And I'm like,
how do you spell emoji?
We are so close to this. MOJ MOJI. Type in emoji robot.
No, you are wrong.
And so I possibly could use one of those. Yeah.
Nope.
But I've been editing podcasts and shit like that too, so I've been a little busy.
You've been stepping up your game, pal. I've really appreciated it.
Mm-hmm.
You've taken a lot of time off of me.
I can tell how much appreciation is oozing through the microphone.
Because I didn't give you a hug?
No.
Oh, all right.
Anyways.
So we talked about our website.
Jackie,
Yes.
we really appreciate your time tonight. You as well, Rob.
Yeah,
it was really nice
Rob.
to meet you guys. That was a unique experience. For sure.
Not just unique, but it's one of those, it wasn't easy for me. And I want to continually work on that. I would really like to go back and try it again and again, and maybe I'll get to the stage where I don't need a float tank and I can just sit and meditate and be like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna work on my posture." Maybe
before they go, where can they go to find out about floating?
Floating will be at jackie-fetter.com. And that is the Honest Living website. And then there is a tab for Honest Floating. So since there's multiple offerings under Honest Living, Honest Floating is for the tank itself. And so there's a scheduling link. There's information about just learning about tanks, what to do on your first float. I ask everybody read the document on the orientation and what to bring. Pinterest is great. So looking on Pinterest, it's again going to be Jackie Fetter, and Facebook as well, and Twitter. Cool. So yes.
Yeah, there's a little picture of that. That's your style, but that's not what it looks like in your basement.
Right. I mean, I've taken pictures of it built into the wall, and people think that it is literally a 1 foot by 3 foot box. So
I got to be in the fetal position when I float?
Right. Yeah. People think it's down into the floor. And so it's just not.
I did ask.
I thought that was a great use of space.
I did ask. I did say, can I see the other side? I was just curious. I was
he wanted to see
totally
the other
curious.
side.
I want to see the other side of it.
I thought it was a great use of space underneath the staircase.
Yeah, totally.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then if you scroll, the bottom of the website, I don't know if it's on every page, but definitely on the main website page.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Should I go to welcome?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to have my social media links. So if you scroll, there's the blog. So I have recipes. So super healthy, awesome foods. I focus on some crab rangoons, DF, dairy free. So that's pretty cool. Instagram. So I link up to that's my very first float right there.
What, this one?
Yes. Sun's out, guns out. Don't worry.
Sweet.
That's Chakra. Chakra actually brought the ring in her mouth up to me and told me Dad wants to propose.
Oh.
Yeah.
Telepathy.
That's very sweet. I'm going to check. Let's blow that up.
Yeah. That's the baby.
And is she a full pit?
She is.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't actually have the papers for her, but her parents
Were you just a little bit nervous that the dog was going to eat the ring?
I put it in her mouth at first, and she's like, didn't want to have anything to do with it because it's like velvet and it doesn't taste good. And I'm like, God, that plan's blown. So I'm like, I keep trying to put it in there, and finally she just grabbed a hold, and she's like, what am I doing here? And I'm like, go see Mama.
Yeah.
And, that's what we do in the morning. Like, she'll like tell the dog to come see me and vice versa.
I go see Papa. She goes see him. He goes, go see Mama. And then she's bouncing from room to room.
Then she went in, and I was like, thank God, I can't believe that worked. All right, we're in business here.
Yeah.
Well done.
That's awesome.
So,
and you like the green green juices?
So I said if you like it, you should have put some green in it. Like the Beyonce song. You do know Beyonce, right?
Oh yeah.
So
thank
She's
you.
a popular singer,
right? So Twitter is on here. I link up to my health coaching school right there on the logo.
And are you earning a living just doing this now?
And then there's all the social media. So that's what I want to point out.
Just click.
Well, we had talked a little bit about that. So I had gone through the schooling, and clients were asking for food. So I took the gamble to purchase a local catering business. My dad was a big supporter, my uncle. And so then it was almost 2 years ago. And on the third day, my dad killed himself.
Oh, jeez.
And so that kind of just stops things. And I just had to try to not literally claim bankruptcy. I had to put my health coaching on hold. I had to put a lot of things on hold. But I was able to join with another caterer and sell that. So I have been rebuilding since then. And the float tank just came into play for people to come to float the first of this year.
Oh, wow.
So potentially, getting enough people and keeping that moving, then yes, it would be sustainable as a business. The health coaching itself, I moved from taking my own clients, which was making money, to coaching the other women and getting them going. So that also is in the beginning stages. So once that moves, and then, just simple things like getting the tank paid off.
Right.
So yeah, this is what I do full time. The blog helps a lot of things. So I mean, it's my office. That's where I go every day.
Cool. But we got to meet you and get to know you right at the beginning of this transitional period. This is awesome.
Exactly. And that's actually why I really like the tank, because after having that chaos of all of those huge life events,
sure,
when I got in the tank, I was actually able to relax and I felt peaceful. I felt like I was reconnected with my roots again. And that's why, for me, it was such a powerful experience, because I literally didn't know if I could be whole again.
Sure.
And so it was nice to be able to find that piece of me still in there very deep. I had to be really quiet in a tank. But for myself, being a busy person, it was nice to get in there, and that hour got me like deep into that. Versus, that we were talking about learning to meditate and learning. It was a really busy time of my life, so that luckily paid off.
Awesome.
But, yeah. And then the shirts.
Right
here.
I love floating. It's not tubing. It's floating.
Floating.
And there's
tubing's tubing, isn't it? Or
there's girl shirts.
They call it, do you want to go float down the river?
Oh, okay. I guess I've heard that.
Yeah.
Can't you, what's wrong with you?
I think the last time I tubed down a river was when I was a little kid.
What?
All right, what's wrong with you? We just went. Your family and mine, Apple River.
Oh, I know. But
Jackrabbit?
That's different, though.
Why is it different?
I associate tubing with being a child, like tubing down the river.
That's it. I can't take you anymore. Can't handle it.
Can't take
you want to get
either.
some t-shirts, go to jackie-fetter.com and you can scroll and click on Honest Floating, and then you have these choices for t-shirts. Soft Canvas brand t-shirts. Canvas? Soft canvas. How about soft
French
canvas?
now, for some reason.
Soft canvas.
You know where the word canvas comes from?
I couldn't care less.
Cannabis, because they used to make canvas out of cannabis back in the day.
Way to bring it back to pot, Todd.
I wanted to bring
Way
it back.
to bring it back to pot.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Rogan.
That's Rogan. It's all Joe's fault.
All right, listen, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to let these girls go.
Awesome.
Girls?
Jesus
Christ.
He was talking about
Rob
Todd
is
and me.
confident in his sexuality.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry
Yeah.
about it.
Rob and I shared similar circumstances with the float.
I'm going to have to go to get over it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But you guys should sleep awesome tonight. You should tomorrow let me know how you feel.
All right, we'll do it.
I'll do it.
All right. So everybody, thank you very much for being with us. I'm Matt.
I'm Todd.
And that's Jackie and Rob. And we'll see you later.
Adios.
Good night.